Alrighty, we are going live. We're going live. Woohoo! Let's check to make sure that the audio is once again all nice and crisp like. And yes, it is. It is coming through beautifully. Fantastic. That's what we like to hear. And good morning, good evening, good day to all of you, wherever you are at. Hope that you are having a fantastic time. And welcome for the weekly live stream. There is a lot to talk about, and we'll wait for people to come on in and everything. We'll get this party going. And Arts, is great to have you here. Hello, Tyler Goodman. You are not going to like this, but the Amazing Digital Circus episode 4 has been flagged to be marked for kids only. That sucks so hard. YouTube just being stupid again. Yeah, no, that's so I did not know that, Tyler Goodman, but that that sounds like definitely something that YouTube would want to try to pull because, well, YouTube does not like having to pay out when they don't absolutely have to. And let's just be honest here. The Amazing Digital Circus is forcing YouTube to have to really pay out. They are going against what the algorithm says is okay. Good old glitch productions. Guy is here. Great to have you here, Guy. And Arts the bastards that they are. Yes, indeed. Say, oh man, trying to do like there was once a time where I was like, yes, I shall make a living on YouTube's, and the answer is no. YouTube doesn't want anyone to make a living off of YouTube other than Google, because that would then mean that they'd have to pay out way more than they really want to. Because it's all about that bottom line. It's not as though Google's already a monopoly or anything like that. I mean, come on. What a great way to start off the live stream, right? The lust for money is ceaseless. The lust for money is unending. The TV account says, I think it was a bot that hallucinated episode that Hussein thought episode 4 was for kids. Yes, I mean, episode 4 has a suicide attempt, for crying out loud. There's no way that was like, oh yeah, no, kids are totally fine with this. Though, to be fair, to be frank, there are plenty of older shows and movies that actually depict stuff like suicide in kids' films. It's only relatively recently that people are like, no, we can't show that kind of stuff. The brave little toaster would beg to differ. Which reminds me, I'm gonna have to make sure that I can get that clip and use it for a video dedicated specifically for the Amazing Digital Circus episode 8, because one of the things that Kane says is almost directly verbatim right out of the Brave Little Toaster, and even kind of mimics the scene, but it has a much different resolution in the show than what you actually get in the Brave Little Toaster. Art says, I wonder if they'll write episode 8 and give it all the mind rape going on. Maybe. Though one of the things that YouTube hasn't quite figured out, because of how they tried to just do blanket statements on everything, is that, and Glitch exploited this with murder drones. So long as you can prove that it's not actually blood that is being spilled, you can easily get away with as much gore and violence as you want, like robot on robot violence, and get away with it in your show or in your movie on YouTube. Yeah, YouTube is just weird, and their means of policing these things is also highly inconsistent. It just goes to show that like bots or people who are just really angry or at whoever are the ones that are actually like taking on the mantle of patrolling what's going on the site. It's just weird. Diagon says, I also think it makes it important to buy their merch and support Glitch in. Exactly. If you want Glitch Productions to continue to do well, they absolutely need the support through their merchandise sales. That's their model. 80% of any show that they make must be funded by the merchandise, and then 20% is what's covered by by ad revenue. And that's a very smart model because it helps to account for how YouTube might end up screwing them over. And that's one of the things that then suddenly makes it really, really impressive what they're really doing behind the scenes and how they have enough money to actually throw out all of these different shows that they're making. Currently working on 4 different shows at the same time, wrapping up The Amazing Digital Circus, The Gaslight District, Knights of Guinevere, Gameoverse. That's all under their immediate umbrella, plus dumping, if I'm correct, $2 million on making Lackadaisy happen, producing Lackadaisy. And I'm going to explore this potential actually in this live stream tonight. There's also a possibility that they might get behind Roland Rogers' Godspeed going forward. That will all depend on certain things that are happening behind the scenes. But if you're like me and you've supported the Kickstarter for Godspeed, and you get updates from Roland Rogers, there's some fascinating stuff that's going on that I definitely want to share with you guys and talk about, because it's just another data point that shows that indie productions are really beginning to pave the way forward for a lot of the storytelling industry, and kind of setting the stage, I think, for some really amazing things that could happen down the line. Art says, buy all the exposed skeleton Jax plushies. Yes, as creepy as they are. Support skeleton Jax without skin. It's such a disturbing part of the episode. Not relying on YouTube monetization is incredibly smart. Oh, it absolutely is. And it's something that we here at Camille's Harem have to fight against all the time. We have to deal with so many times that our videos get flagged. It happens way more often than you might realize. And especially if you followed any of our Frieren videos, a fair number of them have been forcibly taken down. And when I go to check to see why, like, they were flagged, they're just flagged for absolute nonsense. It's like, no. I have worked on altering the picture here and everything, and this is commentary, not theft. But people can just abuse the system. It's really, really annoying. Tiger says, I hope that the Amazing Digital Circus episode 4 flagged mark for kids been removed for good. Well, hopefully that does happen. Arts, why would they take those down? Honestly, I don't know. I think that there's probably very zealous interns over in some Japanese studios that probably just go around flagging anything from any channel that doesn't have like a green mark somewhere of like, oh yeah, these people give us excellent press, therefore don't mess with them. It would be my guess. Honestly, I can't really tell. It could just be someone going around causing issues. We once, for a time, so our channel has actually had 2 different stalkers, one of whom is still very active, who I swear every single day watches one of the videos I posted a while ago about the ship Ichiruki and combs through all of the comments so that way they can then bully anyone who comments. It's just like, seriously, after 2 years, do you have anything else better to do? And then there was a time where there was someone who was trying to get us doxxed, and would religiously show up for every video like the second it premiered, so that way they could dislike it. It's like, oh boy. Anywho's, and the fun of being a YouTuber, YouTube not monetizing or not giving good ad revenue for the stuff that you make, people causing drama, woohoo. But whatever. Today I am hoping that we can have some good fun talking about a number of different topics. I've got a list of things. Our countdown to 1,000 videos. An update on the Tales of Zale Kickstarter, which is almost over. Clara and the Below from Matt Brawley, the creator of Amphibia, and one of the people who worked on Gravity Falls. He's now joining Dana Terrace as well. Excuse me, on the indie frontier. So we might see some really cool things from him real soon. I definitely want to talk about Hoppers because I had a chance to see it, and it was good. I'm kind of baffled at the hate that some people are trying to give, and I have, I think, a good working theory about why there's so many people who don't like Hoppers. There are a couple of other indie projects that I want to introduce to you guys and get you a wee bit excited. Talk about the Amazing Digital Circus, No Evil. Yeah, there is a lot. There's a lot to cover tonight. So let's see here. I think that just in terms of getting some housekeeping stuff out of the way, I really want to quickly share with you guys the announcement that we are so close, so fantastically close to having 1,000 videos on this channel. Here's the thing, though. YouTube has been very inconsistent with counting the videos that we have that we have uploaded, that we have published over time. So for instance, if you were to right now go and check the number of videos that are supposed to be on this channel, you might see like 990, or you might see 983. Or if you actually go through and count every single available video, and that's not even counting the ones that have now been blocked for various reasons, you will count over 1,000 videos already present on the channel. Did we miss our mark? Possibly. So we talked it out as a harem about what we're going to do, because 1,000 videos is a pretty awesome mile marker. Seriously. So what we're going to do is, I was like, you know what, let's just take the lowest number and work from there. And what that means is we've got, so if we take the lowest number that is publicly available for how many videos that we've published and put out there, that means that we are now 16 videos away from 999. So that way our 1,000th video or the one that we're going to celebrate for 1,000 videos here on YouTube will then be technically our 1,000th. So yeah. Actually, you know what? I take it back. It's not 16, it's 15. When you include this one, it's actually 14. So we got 14 more videos until we reach what we have determined will be our 1,000th video. And when that premieres, we hope that you check it out. The goal is to have everyone in the harem present for that particular video, and we just want to have a good old time with that. So yeah, and hope that you're there for that, and we'll have some fun discussions and just give people a chance who maybe haven't heard the whole harem in a while or ever before to have a chance to hear from not just me or from Scott, but also from Nathan, from Camille, maybe even from Spencer and from Jed. And again, yeah, just hopefully have a very good time. So woohoo! So okay, there we go. There's the housekeeping, some of the housekeeping stuff out of the way. How many of those are Deltarune videos? That is an excellent question. How many of them are Deltarune videos? Oh, probably a few score, including the live playthroughs. I says I haven't seen Hopper, so I held off on making judgment, but it looks weird, so me no likey. Art says I'd like to hear from Nate and Camille again. Oh yes, oh yeah. Say Nathan and Camille are always great to hear. Always great to hear from. Because it's just Nathan and Camille are such a fantastic, strong personalities. Just great people. Now then, so with that little bit of housekeeping out of the way, what on my list of stuff to talk about? What shall we get to? Shall we get to the Tales of Zale Kickstarter and see where that's at? Clara and the Below by Matt Brawley. Do we wish to talk about Harry Potter? And actually, I've got a little bit more to say in regards to diving into what's been recently happening with Hollywood, other than just Harry Potter. The Hoppers review, having a look at some other indie projects, revisiting the Amazing Digital Circus, or No Evil. I know it's a whole lot right there. Harry Potter, yes. Oh, the pot, the guy who plants the pot. And then there's the Apothecary Diaries and Frieren era. Oh yeah, we've done a lot of. Actually, we haven't done nearly as many Frieren videos as we've done for the Apothecary Diaries. I think there's one episode for every single one of the Apothecary Diaries episodes. But right now we got. I'm going to take Art's having a little bit of laugh at how I said Potter as a vote for talking about good old Harry Potter. Because we just this week we had the trailer drop for season 1, and I most definitely have some thoughts about all of that. So too does Honey, but my fat cat is just right now more interested in shedding on my shoes at the moment. Aggressively shedding. All right. Well, with no other input, let us jump then on over to actually talking about Harry Potter, because I mean I did put that in the thumbnail, so let me pull up our nice wee bit of footage, and hope that Warner Brothers doesn't cause a stink with this being up. So Harry Potter. Okay, so Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, not the Sorcerer's Stone. We're going Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood here with this, using the proper name of the great alchemical device. Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, Season 1 of the Harry Potter franchise on HBO. Will there be hot, smexy scenes in Harry Potter like what made HBO famous? Almost guarantee not. HBO has lost its edge. But already having had a look at this teaser trailer, like I am full of various thoughts and some criticisms. One of the very first things I have to say is I am happy to see, like, to actually get not just Harry reflecting on how Dudley bullied him in school, but I do like that we're going to get a scene of that. And also just how Aunt Petunia, who, yay, here she is with her horsey face and blonde hair, because she is blonde in the books, heaping abuse on Harry, which, no, it's not good to have abuse in real life. Abuse is awful. But to actually actively get to see that in the story, or portrayed now in the story, I like that, because it in so many ways endears you more to Harry's plight and how Hogwarts is such an escape for Harry. Because as the books go on, with all of the dangers at Hogwarts, you begin to think, why would anyone want to go to Hogwarts, especially this boy who doesn't understand the wizarding world? It's because as dangerous as Hogwarts is, Hogwarts has got nothing on the Dursleys as far as Harry's concerned for a long time. And by the time that Harry begins to wisen up a little bit to the ways of the wizarding world, he's got plenty of more good personal reasons, positive reasons to go to Hogwarts. And there we are. There's good old Draco Malfoy. I already love the casting for Draco and for Crabbe and Goyle. It just comes across so well. Look at this pompous prick. I'm quite certain that the actor is a lovely fellow in real life, a good lovely chap kid. But man, oh, that face, that coiffed hair up at the front, oh, already makes me want to curse the kid. Yes, gotta love the hair. Anyone expecting Harry to go full mobster a la Tony Soprano season one will be very sad. Yeah, no, that's gonna be season 5. That's the Order of the Phoenix, Harry. If you had to put up with the Dursleys for 10 years, Hogwarts is heaven. Exactly. Exactly. And again, I'm happy that the show seems to be geared towards setting that up. Those are things that already I'm like, I like this. I like this. I do like the way that the casting seems to be. Yes, I will address Black Snape in a moment because it needs to be talked about. uh, 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 Harry in the cupboard, which I feel like this is already even a better portrayal of Harry being shoved under the cupboard. How it's awful. It's bad in there, cramped, like just all cramped up. It's not even can't even call this camping. Now then, one thing that people have pointed out, Harry's scar should not be over his right eye. It should be in the middle of his forehead because that is where Voldemort pointed his wand. I'm pointing my wand as hard as I can, Harry, and cursed him with Avada Kedavra. Which I still, at the moment I realized that Avada Kedavra was just basically supposed to be a negative version of Abracadabra, sent me over the moon with hilarity. I was like, you've got to be kidding me. Oh my gosh. At first, what sounded really cool, now it's just so silly. So, yeah, no, Harry, there we go. There's the sorting hat. I don't like the look of the sorting hats. This sorting hat looks like it came from the Renaissance Festival. Uh, you just realized that? No, Arts, I didn't just realize that. But when I did realize it years ago, I was all like, what the heck? As a kid reading the books, went totally over my head. As an adult, I was like, oh, come on. But again, the sorting hat, I don't like the look of the sorting hat. The sorting hat needs to be an ancient, beat up, torn up hat. And yes, I will die on that hill because like this sorting hat looks like it's a leather boot. The sorting hat from the movies looked like a sock puppet. I want to see an ancient wizard's hat. It shouldn't be that difficult to recreate it. At least they don't have a spell called Alia Kazan or something like that for Alakazam or Alakazoo. Oh, fantastic. I want a spell called Alakazoo in Harry Potter. If I were a wizard, I would work so hard on making the spell's name be Alakazoo, and I'd make it like the most benign thing on the face of the earth, but you have to say it with as much anger and aggression as possible. Alakazoo! And as you cast it, you basically summon bubbles that look like farm animals that just romp around in the air. Anyways, there we go. Hagrid being happy. Hagrid deserves all the happiness. The poor guy. I'm just going to say this. By the end of the book series, I feel like Hagrid got a raw deal. Like really, like he lose like okay, like no one still takes him seriously. The woman that he loves doesn't love him back. Harry doesn't want to spend time with him anymore. It's just poor Hagrid. Uh Lars says, I think I like Black Snape. As long as he's true to the spirit of Snape, I don't see a problem. And yeah, we're like I said, I want to address that because like what you have to say right there has merit, and it's one of those things about okay, letter of the law versus spirit of the law, the intent behind why you choose who you choose. We'll get into that. And so, and if you touch the bubbles, you turn into that animal. I like that. I like that extra added element right there. ISO. Now then, I want to I want to come back to this bit. So there we've got the Quidditch team. I really like this look for Harry's Quidditch uniform. Potter number 7, crimson and gold. This looks really good. I really really like this look. That's a good heroic shot, even for a little kid. It makes Harry look like the potential hero of the moment, which, as we know from his very first Quidditch match, he is. And I'm really looking forward to seeing. I'm really looking forward to how they portray that. One of the things I'm just going to take a moment right here and say one of the things I hope that the show does is that it adapts some of the small ridiculous moments that are in the book that J.K. Rowling put in there as flavor text. It means almost nothing to anything else that's going on. But like for instance, when Captain Flint, the captain of the Slytherin team, realizes that everyone's staring at Harry because his broom begins bucking, is trying to buck him off to kill him. He grabs the quaffle and like throws it through the hoops like 5 to 6 times, scoring a bunch of points against Gryffindor. But it doesn't really mean anything because then Harry almost swallows the snitch and manages to catch it while being bucked. And because he's being bucked by Professor Quirrell, that actually is what allows him to catch the snitch. If they can capture that kind of dichotomy, that moment, and just how ridiculous it really is, that will, I think, go a very long way to capturing the magical feel of the first book. Another thing that I really, really want to see is I want to see Peeves. Peeves the Poltergeist is just a menace in the books, but he's only there momentarily. And and the thing is that he again adds that flavor to Hogwarts. He helps to make Hogwarts feel magical. And he's this chaotic element that could either be good or bad. Because there's times where Peeves helps, and then there's other times where Peeves is just awful. And so it's one of the reasons why the students never want to come across Peeves, because you never know what the poltergeist will do to you. And so it adds that extra element of fun to Hogwarts, where it's not just a boarding school for wizards, it's its own wild environment. Isa says, I don't criticize Black Snape's actor for being cast as Snape. He can't help his skin color, and he seems to like the character genuinely. I can criticize the showrunners for casting him. And yeah, we should don't do like all of us, no matter what our feelings are on Black Snape, don't criticize the guy for being who or what he is. That's absolutely unfair. And because he's now cast as Snape, we are going to see him. We have to judge him based on his performance. And I'm hoping that he delivers. Hey, Axel Tovar, good to have you here. So since it's now been brought by two of you, and I said I would address it. Let me then just say this is that I would like for the casting to have been more in line with the books, especially because they said that they were going to do their best to be in line, lore accurate to the books. And you always have to ask yourself, why did they change what they changed? Many times it is for brownie points. And I do not like changes for brownie points, because unless you can convert those brownie points to actual brownies, you're never going to get your brownies. So doing something for brownie points is just dumb. But if the actor for Snape can absolutely bring his A game, bring that seething loathing for Harry, have that dominance on the screen where like you're just terrified of him in the moment, then good. Then he's doing what he's got to do, and he will help to make the story strong. Because one of the things that makes Harry Potter the series is one of the things that makes Harry Potter the series what it is the intense dislike that Snape evokes. He makes you hate him. J.K. Rowling was a genius in making us hate Snape. And she actually was really good in making Snape the traitor that was in plain sight. That was really well done. I do not agree that she redeemed Snape. She did not, in my opinion, she did not redeem Snape. My reasoning for that is because Snape genuinely despised Harry throughout the entire series. He did everything for a very selfish reason. And so for Harry, and the way that I interpreted Harry naming his son Albus Severus was, it was his way of making peace with two men who by the end of book 7 he has a very complicated relationship with. Dumbledore lied to him. Dumbledore used him. Dumbledore intended to sacrifice him. And Snape was awful to him this entire time. Yet both men had a larger, greater vision in mind for defeating Voldemort and did their best to protect Harry and prepare him in the moment. And you can hate Dumbledore and Snape all you want, but I think again that Harry naming Albus Severus after Dumbledore and Snape was his way of reconciling with that. That's the way I interpreted it. J.K. Rowling's like, yes, Snape is redeemed, and I'm like, no, he isn't, because this is my personal metric, and you can use it or you can disagree with it. But for any villain who you wish to redeem in a story, you need to put in the same amount of effort to make them a good guy as you put in to make them a bad guy. That is my personal metric for redeeming a villain. And so you'll find actually in some of the stories that I've written where I set up villains to be redeemed, you might realize this guy or gal doesn't seem to be entirely redeemed by the end of the story. And if so, I intended that way. Because I'm like, yes, I want you to be thinking about this character and their changes. The actor being black has brought up some horrible people, and I agree, Dragfang. Yeah, it's sad to see how some people reacted with vitriol towards the actor, him for just being who he is. Snape only did what he did for revenge against Voldemort because of Harry's mother. yeah, no, and Snape outright says that in book 7, in the memory that Harry finds, or the memory that he gives to Harry. And Dragfang asks, where can I read your stories? Hey, Dragfang, if you want to read any of my stories, you want to go check out my books over on Amazon. I'll give you a really quick rundown right here. So, Knights of Halicruz, that starts off my Legend of the Ten Lords series. Legend of the Ten Lords. Oh man, I can spell today. Tumblteller is another good one. Monarch Mercenaries, or my book Bleed, Steam, and Steel, which is my writing group's personal favorites. It's their personal favorite of the ones I've written. So if you want to dive into the stuff that I've written, there is a good starting place. Or you can also check out the fairy tales I've done. But if you're in for it, if you want some good meaty books, that's the place to go. Please, I'll do anything. Dumbledore had him right where he wanted. Ah, yes, Dumbledore, the master manipulator. Let's just be honest here. But yeah, so coming back around then to our video here, I like who they have for Hagrid. I think he looks like a good cast, and he sounds really good in the role too. Yeah, I talked about the Quidditch match; that looks good. Harry spending time with Ron, Vernon Dursley. I recently listened to a guy pointing out how Uncle Vernon's not as big as he probably should be, and I get that. And I would like to see a way more imposing Vernon Dursley. But again, if the actor can really bring out just the unrelenting, unjustified anger at Harry for just simply existing and make you just hate this man, then the actor will do a great job. Because, Vernon Dursley. Vernon Dursley is up there with Professor Umbridge, who I just wish I could just reach through the pages of the book, grab them by the throat, and just throttle them like a bobblehead doll. And Harry getting thrown in there. Harry back at the corridor of Hogwarts. Ron with the smudge on his nose. Yes, and I like the look of the kid that they have for Ron. He might not be as gangly as he's described in the book, but it's hard to find. It is hard to find a kid who's 11 years old who already looks tall enough to be like 14 or 15 because of just how gangly they are. So, like, limitations in casting, I accept it. I hope that the kid does a phenomenal job as Ron. Ron is one of my personal favorites in the series, despite how many times he's an idiot. And maybe it's because he's an idiot who's always trying, that makes him so endearing to me. Dragfang says, I will say that remaking Harry Potter isn't really necessary. The movies already did a good job at adapting the books. And you know what? I agree. The only reason why this is happening is because for one thing, they know, like, Warner Brothers knows that that Harry Potter is a potential gold mine. So much Harry Potter merch is sold year after year. They make excellent money off of it, or I should say, J.K. Rowling makes excellent money off of it. Warner Brothers is only allowed to have a small bit of it because of the ironclad contracts that J.K. Rowling has. So, in order for Warner Brothers to really dip their hands into those piles of gold galleons that J.K. Rowling rakes in every year from her royalties and from all the merch, is that Warner Brothers returns to the well and makes more Harry Potter related stuff that they can then sell specialized merchandise off of in a new contract that gives them a greater slice of the pie. And in exchange for getting the greater slice of the pie, as opposed to J.K. Rowling, who by all rights, because of her ironclad contracts from before, why then can they take her share? It's because she is then given complete creative control over the show, whereas she did not have that creative control over the movies. That rested with the studio. So that is the exchange. That's the exchange that's happening here. This is how Warner Brothers hopes to rake in loads of money. And as Art says right here, plus Epic Universe has to stay relevant with their Harry Potter land somehow. Exactly. Yeah, get people getting excited for Harry Potter to show up and all that. Telegram says, I just want to know that the Amazing Digital Circus episode 9 is now going to be on Cinemark. Check it out on their website. Wait, really? Whoa, hold on a moment right here. The Amazing Digital Circus episode 9 Cinemark. Whoop. I just saw my Cinemark app. Oh, okay, it's going to be a Fathom event. So that means it's only going to be very limited. That they're going to show it there at select Cinemarks that decide to participate in that Fathom event. I think I've talked about this on another live stream. I am interested in possibly renting out the Harkins that is in my town and having an open theater to watch the Amazing Digital Circus leading up to the 9th episode. That would be epic. That would be absolutely epic. Just need to find a way of making that happen somehow. And Dragfang says, if anything, they could just go and look into the bigger Harry Potter world. For example, magic only the British school uses wands for their magic. We could use at the other schools around the world. So, Dragfang, the reason why they will not go beyond Harry Potter is two things. There's two reasons why. One is that Magical Beasts and Where to Find Them absolutely flopped at the box office. It did. It lost the studios tons of money, and the series is never going to get finished. J.K. Rowling doesn't even want to finish it. Second, when Hogwarts Legacy was released, the lesson that the studio producers took away from the success of that game was, we need to be at Hogwarts. People are okay if Harry isn't in the story, but we must have Hogwarts. Now, until someone can pen us another story that takes place at Hogwarts that is not directly related to Harry Potter, we must make more Harry Potter stuff. That's the only way we can keep this relevant, and the only way that we can get our hands on all of those gold galleons. That's the reason. And that's been something that's been very blatant, very open since the success of the video games launch. So yeah, there you have it. The Nimbus 2000, that's a neat little box. It feels very retro, and I like that. I approve. I approve. Oh, wait a moment. I actually had not paid much attention to that one little shot. There we go. Gryffindor versus Hufflepuff. We will have Gryffindor versus Hufflepuff. Yes. Yes. That's a part in the book. If you don't remember, it's like almost a blink and you miss it moment, even in the book itself, where Ron and Hermione get ready to basically jump Snape. Should anything bad happen to Harry at the next Quidditch match. And that's when they just find out that Snape will actually be the referee for the match. And he basically uses it as a chance to abuse Harry. But even though he's abusing Harry for like that whole page that happens, Harry catches the snitch so quickly that the game is over in like 3 minutes. And everyone's like, Harry just set a school record for the win. Yay! Hogwarts and the Rise of Palpatine. Somehow, Voldemort returns. What? And it must that Oscar Isaac also must be present for that movie, The Rise of Voldemort, for him to be like, somehow Voldemort's returned, and like everyone in Hogwarts is like, what? And then when the Death Eaters come flying into Hogwarts, they have to be all like, they fly now. Never mind the fact that they've been flying this whole time. Just got to drop dumb lines like that. All right. Ooh. I love the penmanship right here. I wish I was that good of a calligrapher. Mr. H. Potter, The Cupboard Under the Stairs, number 4, Privet Drive, Little Winging, Surrey. Man, I wish I could get a letter like this to go to Hogwarts. I get that J.K. Rowling's all like, if you've read all 7 books, you've gone to Hogwarts, you are an alum, and I'm like, I get that. But still, I want to go to Hogwarts. So that way I can tell everyone this is how you actually teach at a magical school. Yes, I am a muggle, but you want to know what? Where's your arithmetic? Where is your writing? Where is your English classes? Where is your geography classes? Why is magical history something that you can drop when you get to your 5th year, after your 5th year? That is stupid to me. And not just because I was a history teacher for 4 years, but you need to know your history if you don't want to screw up in real life. Why is it that we have all of those annoying core classes? Because those core classes become the core of your understanding of yourself and of the world around you. Also, J.K. Rowling even makes it a point throughout the books that Harry and Ron don't actually know how to write an essay. Even when they are taking their owls and in year 5, they still don't know how to write good essays. And it's like, you could have avoided this if you had a proper English class at Hogwarts. I mean, who's homeschooling Ron? Harry does not have any excuse. Harry was in a muggle school for like 5 years. He should know how to write. Anyway, there we go. The Weasleys. Go back to that. It's just so sweet. This is Dursley. Not Dursley. Weasley. Molly Weasley with Ron. It's just such a nice shot right there. And the Death Eaters take out double-bladed wands. Not sure how that works. Oh, it could absolutely happen. And just, like one of the Death Eaters does the whole like Darth Maul pose and like clicks at the handle of their wand, and then another part of the wand pops out the other end of the handle. I can do multiple spells now, Potter. Oh boy. Hagrid being way too big for the tube, but there he is. Ah, yes. I feel like the actress for Aunt Petunia is just really gonna make me hate her. Good fun there at Hogwarts because Hogwarts is meant to be fun. We tend to forget that Harry was just a teenager throughout most of the story and that he had a good time like playing chess, having snowball fights, pulling silly pranks, adventures at the dinner table. Like he was a kid, and it's one of the things that J.K. Rowling did a far better job of portraying in books 1 through 4. You get that Harry's just a young teenager in books 1 through 4. Once you get to book 5, she's like, "Screw this! Everything's dark and miserable now," and Harry's now just an angsty teenager who's trying to act like he's in his 40s. It's just like, ugh. McGonagall looks good. So too does Hermione. Oh, ooh, let's have a look at Dumbledore right there. That's a good look for Dumbledore. It almost makes me think that that's Richard Attenborough, the guy who played John Hammond in the Jurassic Park movies, or if you know your movies, he also plays one of the ranking British officers in the movie The Great Escape. So I like that we get kind of a Richard Attenborough feel. And yes, he is related to David Attenborough, who is more famous for his work talking about all of these fantastic little animals. Save the Earth. Hogwarts is supposed to be fun. J.K. Rowling, no inexplicable horrors. Dobby has given Master a lightsaber. Dobby gave Master a lightsaber. Swoosh. A pretty cool one. Thank you, I'm Omega. That is brilliant. I love it. Also, I'm Omega. You're going to be happy to hear I have caught up with No Evil. Holy cow. That show goes through a lot. Holy cow. Anyways, I think we can expect great things from you. So as the same person who I was watching their video for recently said, this is actually not even a line from the book. Instead, when Mr. Ollivander tries to get across is that your wand shares a feather from the same phoenix as another wand. Well, let's hear it. Yeah, he's like, yeah. The wand went to another wizard, or who did many great things. Terrible, yes, but great. And that's what he leaves Harry with. And Harry makes the connection. Oh, Voldemort's. Oh no. Which in the books, as opposed to the movies, the conversation about Voldemort and his connection to Harry is something that actually happens earlier on before they even go to Ollivander's. I love Dumbledore's little leprechaun hat. I do too. And it's one of the things that I hope that we get more of in the show is just how eccentric Dumbledore is. Now then, if we want to, then again, kind of a little bit on the subject of like the casting of Black Snape, though not so much really for him, but something that J.K. Rowling did with Dumbledore. When she said, I remember when she came out and said that Dumbledore was gay, there was just an uproar of people saying, yes, she supports us. Or people like, no, J.K. Rowling, you are awful. I just remember reading Dumbledore as a kid as just a wild, crazy old man who was just funny and weird, did crazy things. Learning that he was gay, I was like, okay, I don't see that, but well, whatever. And I just always felt it was for brownie points. And even now, looking back across the series, I'm like, J.K. Rowling, if you wanted to make Dumbledore like truly a representative of the LGBTQ plus community, you probably should have leaned a little bit more into that. It would, like, I think people actually would have been more okay with it had you brought that more to the forefront. But because you didn't, and you just shoehorned it in at the very end, and there have been so many other creators that have done stuff like that, Like Matt Brawley saying, Sasha's bi, everyone. Sasha's bi. I'm like, there's nothing in the show that concretely says that. You literally dropped that after the final episode aired. You are a coward. If you want to make a character part of the LGBTQ plus community, you need to make that something that actually comes across if you want that to be a statement. If you want that character to be a representation. If it's something that's just a part of who they are, but it's not something you want to dive into, then sure, you can leave it open for the audience to discover. And if someone's all like, hey, so and so, blah, 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 then you can be all like, yeah, they are. I did write them that way. I just didn't want to be too explicit for yada, yada, yada reason. If you're going to engage in that, you have to have an understanding for why you've made your characters the way they are, and not just for gay characters, but for all your characters. If anyone's got a question about why your character is a certain way, like why is your character such an idiot? Why is your character just so overly charitable? Why is your character so stinking smart? You need to have an explanation, not just for if they're LGBTQ. For any aspect of your character, you should have an explanation for why they are the way that they are. Is it something that you need to accentuate, something you need to draw attention to? Only if you want to. But you should have explanations for why your characters are the way that they are, and not just simply drop tidbits. Be like, yes, they are the way that they are. Ha ha ha. Now I'm moving on to the next thing, and I'm not going to explain anymore. Goodbye. That's just dumb. That's not good representation. I'm sorry, but it isn't. Art says, I could see George Takei being best friends with someone quirky like Dumbledore. I agree. You know what? George Takei and Dumbledore hanging out, having a pint actually sounds like a really fun sitcom moment. I would absolutely watch that. Here we are, coming close to the end of this little bit here. Harry, again, running from the bullies. Because this is how I had to cobble all the footage together to avoid getting copyright struck. Might still get pulled down later on. We'll find out. Ugh. And then, are you Harry Potter? Whoa, cool. So yeah, there you go. Simple, straightforward. Again, I want to see Peeves the Poltergeist. I want to see a lot of the funny little quirky things that happen all throughout the first book that just help to add some of the nuance and depth and magic to Hogwarts. I hope that all of the actors and actresses absolutely kill it in this first season. I hope it does well. I actually do. I want to see a good adaptation of the books in long form. I think there's some real potential magic there. And for certain castings that people get upset with, I say let them first prove themselves. If they don't, then you can rightfully say you just did that for brownie points. And then remind them they're not getting any brownies for that. So why bother doing that? But when the show does premiere, one of the things I want to do is I want to reread the book and then kind of go from episode to episode alongside with the book and do kind of an in-depth review like what I've done in the past with Rings of Power and why Rings of Power either worked or didn't. Spoiler alert, it absolutely doesn't, but I did give them credit where credit was due. No one can say that I did not give Rings of Power credit where credit was due. Sad thing was, there was very little credit to give it. I don't make it. The Dobby line came from the corridor edit of the Phantom Menace, where Dobby replaces Darth Maul. Also made mad Fenrir did his series of skits involving his American wizard going into Hogwarts and screwing with the cast, the staff, especially Umbridge and Death Eaters. I love it. Excuse me. If I could magically teleport myself into the stories, I would screw around with Umbridge so hard. I would make that woman want to Avada Kedavra herself. Oh man, I hate her. And the fifth book was so hard to get through. I've said before and I'll say it again, I almost threw the fifth book a couple of times. I was so angry at it. So angry at J.K. Rowling. And that's one of the reasons why I like the sixth book, even though I know a lot of people don't like the sixth book, because the sixth book was such a massive improvement over the fifth. I'm like, it's okay. Harry's no longer a massive idiot. I feel better now. Umbridge is barely in this book. I feel better now. And we're getting plot development. Yes. Hey Camille, what are your thoughts on the later seasons of The Witcher? I will have to get Camille to answer that question directly. This is just Lars here, and unfortunately, Camille's not here with me for this particular live stream. But I'm going to pass that message along to Camille and try to get some answers for you, and see what she thinks if she has seen the final season. I know she's a big fan of the game. This is Witcher 3. Or it says you got to go onto the Battle of the Ministry ride. It features the bridge quite heavily. Dang it! Plus the Ministry they built is very true to life at Universal. Oh, I actually okay. So I have not been to either of the U.S. Universal Studios. I've gone to Universal Studios Japan, which was a lot of fun. And it's very and their Hogwarts over at Universal Studios Japan is massive and so cool. And I really wished I'd had the chance to spend more time inside the castle. But they were like, go, 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 get on this ride. So I'm like the one white dude with all of these Japanese high school students sprinting through Hogwarts to get to the ride. That's all I remember of my experience in Universal Studios Japan's Hogwarts. And it was a really fun ride. Hey, Royal Pink is here. Woohoo! Hi. Omega says Voldy had to deal with Florida Warlock. Oh, E4 Mafia takes care of her easily. Voldy had to deal with Florida Warlock. Oh my gosh, actually like dropping like a Warlock who's totally Florida on Voldemort. Voldemort won't know what to do. Oh, a Florida Warlock is just going to keep on summoning gators everywhere, and just gators are going to swarm Voldemort, and it's going to be something like right out of the Cobbler and the Thief, where Zigzag at the end gets eaten alive by the crocodiles. That's what happened to Voldemort. Dragon says, "Oh, my mistake. I was actually asking you, Lars. I actually forgot that you're just part of the whole team in the Ryan channel." Well, that's totally fine. I have not seen the latest season of The Witcher. I'll admit, I lost interest in The Witcher after season 2. It didn't like. I'll be honest. I felt lost, and it's probably because I haven't read the books or played the games myself. But I felt like any semblance of where the story could have gone or who the characters were, it just seemed like to me it felt like it was coming undone. And maybe it was because again, I don't know the lore of The Witcher at all. I can only go off of what I myself saw, and I just didn't feel very impressed. So that's why I have not kept up with The Witcher personally. So I can't give you my opinion on the latest season, the last season. I can only give you my opinion up to the point where I actually finished watching. Uh, and you and Camille going to check out X-Tail and Underverse. I don't know. It all comes down to whether or not I got time. Because oh boy, I yeah, I a lot like these past 2 days. I've been spending a lot of time doing writing, catching up with my books, because I'm really behind on writing the sequel to Bleed, Steam, and Steel. I'm very behind. I'm catching up, but I feel like I'm almost 2 years late where I should be with this book, and I'm trying to catch up with my goals of where I need to be with writing the characters. I got 4 POVs. Each one has at least 40,000 words to go into it, which is pretty hefty. And I've already finished one character. I've been writing for one of the recurring characters, Lagartha. I've been doing her chapters, and I'm hoping to finish them up by the end of this month before I then dive into Zimon and Asuka and writing their part and then bring the story all together just in time to then set that aside and then work on the sequel to the Monarch Mercenaries Autonomy and hopefully get that done before October. So that way I can then dedicate my time to doing the Choose Your Own Horror Adventure story and trying to write my very first true Lovecraftian horror. So that is what I've got on the docket in terms of writing. That eats up quite a bit of time. Plus, just, doing videos and everything else. If I didn't have to work a part-time job and I didn't have any other responsibilities, it would be way easier for me to commit to diving into X-Tail and Underverse. So, as I'm Omega can attest to, it took me a long time to get through No Evil. So no, I cannot give promises where I do not feel confidence. So I'm sorry there, Jack Fang. Art says Voldy gets attacked by gummy goo. Oh, even better. What Florida wizard just summons all these gummy goos, and gummy goo just absolutely just dog piles horror gummy goo from episode 8. Horror gummy goo just. I cast skater arms. Domain expansion. Waffle Houses. I'm Omega. Yes. I love it. Domain expansion. Waffle House is closed. Oh my gosh. I love that so much. That is so amazing. Mother Lover had steel chair wielding Waffle House rates. If you want to see more, check out Mad Fender. I must check this out. This sounds so amazing. Don't you worry, Jack Fang. We are going to talk about the indie animation here in just a moment. We're pretty much caught up with the Harry Potter stuff, but holy cow. Florida Wizard charged with a cruel and unusual punishment after casting an age reversal spell on Voldemort and feeding Voldemort to gritty lows. Yes. Ooh, a recommendation for Tamberlane. Say Camille is the one who focused primarily on web comics in the past. We'll have to see if we can get her onto Tamberlane. I will pass that along to her, Drag Fang. So, with basically Harry Potter, they're out of the way. Who here is ready for a really cool recommendation for an independent movie, for an independent animated movie? Like, give me those hands up or thumbs up in the chat. Who here would love to get a really sweet, beautiful recommendation for a new indie project? And it's one that, as far as I know, you won't even have to invest any money in. It's going to be coming out regardless of whether you decide to support it. So, hey, yo, even better. You don't have to drop money on this one. So we got hands up, we got thumbs up, we got hands up. All right. So this right here, maybe you've already come across this. If you haven't, you're in for a treat. This is a movie called Kindred Spirits. It's so let me actually pull down the audio right there. So, during the Irish famine of 1847, the Choctaw Nation, who themselves had only just survived the Trail of Tears, pulled together a significant donation of funds and sent it to relieve the plight of the Irish people. This film is inspired by that gift. So this is true history. 1847, potato famine. Ireland is in absolute dire straits, and the powers that be in England take this as a brilliant opportunity to purge Ireland of the Irish. The idea is get them off the land, get them into poorhouses, and basically kill them, because the British have not liked the Irish, thanks to freaking Cromwell and his ilk, who have instilled this idea that the Irish must be purged. Those vile Catholics, and the potato famine just presents the best opportunity to hurt the Irish, who are already suffering. So the plight is serious, and it's something that in the Americas, even though there's a massive prejudice against the Irish in the Americas, there are Americans who are all like, "Oh man, that's bad." Like, yeah, sure, we enslave black people, but holy cow, that's awful what you guys are doing over there. And so there's this attempt to try to alleviate the pains that are being felt by the Irish, but these people didn't at the time people didn't fully understand the science behind what was happening to their crops, or know how to save the Irish in their plight. So this is going to take place in kind of a dark time, but as we're going to see through this trailer focuses on hope, on people finding each other. and how you deal with massive tragic loss in a way that just it made me feel a little emotional watching this. So, with that said, let's enjoy this trailer.
This is Meatloaf, and this is a bad fella guy who has to fight. Hit him with the left, and hit him with the right. Hit him in the belly where he's all soft and squidgy. Knock him dead, Danny boy.
So, Danny Boy is her brother.
And then we can find a new home. Because we're all that's left.
Okay, fun little thing. This is just the historian in me. If you want to know where the term redneck comes from, the term actually, so it comes from the red scarves that the Irish would wear on their way over to the Americas. That's where the term redneck actually comes from. And the little bit right here of join the army, depend like 18. So let's hear 1847 puts it at 1848. So yes, this is by the Wolfwalker people, Darkest Daydreams. Yep. This will also be set at the same time as the U.S.-Mexican War, when the United States went to war against Mexico and basically conquered half of Mexico. And so the whole join the army thing right there, Danny has the opportunity to join the military, and he could have made some really good money, but instead, as we're going to see, he's going to stay close to his sister.
Evening as the sun went down, jungle fires were burning. Down the tracks came a hobo hiking, and he said, "Boys, I'm not turning. I'm heading for a land that's far away, beyond the crystal fountain. So come with me, and you will see Big Rock Candy Mountain."
Similarities between the biological brother and now the adopted brother. There you have it. Yeah. So that'll be coming out soonish. This is something to really look forward to. I like a story like this. So a story like this, one that's properly set in a historical context, beautiful 2D animation, a heartfelt story about found family, and dealing with the pains of the past, both distant and very real and lived, and just finding hope in all of that. Like, at least that's what the trailer seems to communicate. I hope that that's what the movie all is able to address. And I honestly think that this could be just an absolutely phenomenal film. So something to look forward to for anyone who is interested in just more fantastic animation. And it is definitely one of those, like, it is being done professionally, but as we've seen, for instance, with Glitch Productions, just because something is being done at a professional level doesn't mean that it doesn't have that indie feel to it, or that it ultimately has indie roots. That's what we're seeing here. This is an indie roots story. This is what you're seeing right here. No Hollywood studio would happily pick this up. because then it's like, no, do you realize just how many social landmines we're potentially stepping on with this? So they would never touch it. But it's the kind of story that I feel definitely needs to be told. Like, it looks like it has such incredible heart to it. And yeah, we need to see just people keep this 2D keep the 2D art style in all of its various forms alive. So, David Count, so why was the term used for people from Louisiana? So redneck has always been something derogatory, and so therefore it is something that is then used to put other people down. That and so even though it was originated specifically for Irish immigrants, because of the connotations of, oh, they're awful, they're outsiders, they're inbred, they're stupid, whatever else you want to attach to redneck, people that you don't like, you can plop the redneck label onto them, and people immediately know what kinds of connotations you're trying to get across. And yeah, you'd have to look into the sad history about why people decide to use redneck to tear down others. So Tyler Goodman says Hoppers was a great Pixar original movie. Was a great Pixar original movie I have seen since Coco. And so yeah, so now then let's take a moment and talk about Hoppers. Hoppers is honestly a really fun movie. If you don't know what we're getting into, and I'd love to be able to show some footage of Hoppers, but like as I said earlier, I've been so busy, didn't have the chance to. I unfortunately didn't have the chance to put it all together. But so Hoppers is about this young girl who's in college, Mabel Tanaka, or actually. Let's see here. Actually, no, her last name isn't Tanaka because that's her mother's maiden name. So it's just Mabel. But she wears a shirt. She wears a jacket from her grandmother's that has the name Tanaka on it. So Mabel is this girl who deals with anger management issues, and her grandmother really helped her out as a young kid with dealing with those issues. One of the things that her grandmother did to help her out was she got her to become involved with nature, to love nature, to find her peace and her zen out that way. But one of the things, though, that kind of came from that is that then Mabel became what I would term, even though the movie doesn't ever really call this out, but it's there. Mabel basically became a very selfish activist. She's a selfish activist who wants something far more personal based on her activism rather than necessarily what she should really care about. She loves the glade that there's going to be this highway put through. She loves the glade because of her connection with her grandmother, not necessarily because it is an ecologically very good thing to keep the glade around. And so she's trying all these different ways to stop the construction of this highway through the glade. And when she finds out that one of her professors, who she's been totally ditching in all the classes for, has been pioneering this technology that allows you to put your mind into the robots of these various animals and then act like those animals, she takes the opportunity, puts herself into this robot beaver in order to then get a beaver to move into the glade and then build a dam. The reason being is because the mayor of the town can only allow for the construction of that site to go through if there are no animals in that territory. Well, there are no animals there, and that's because the animals have been forced out. So this whole story then is how Mabel is going to try to get beavers to return to the glade and build a dam and make everything beautiful again, prevent the construction of the road. But then she gets involved in the politics behind all of these different animals. which then leads to the animals deciding that in order to protect their land, they're just going to go kill the mayor. And like, oh my gosh, like it is kind of like The Incredibles, where they very nonchalantly kill people on screen. That's what happens in this movie. However, as opposed to The Incredibles, where there's a lot of death, the death is kind of kept to a minimum, but it's still like in your face, good shock value death. Where you're like, oh, I did not see that coming. Except for one death. There is one death where I'm like, yes, thank you. That little jerk is dead. But the movie gets intense. The movie ultimately, if you have seen Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind, this movie is basically a Pixar fanfic of Nausicaa. So it is an original story, but it has very, you can tell it took very strong inspiration from Nausicaa, and also some inspiration, I would argue, from Princess Mononoke. And of course, they're making fun of Avatar as the movie goes on. So like you can see where its inspirations come from, but it's still a movie that does tell its own story, has its characters go very much on their own character arcs that are pretty good. The movie lacks the Pixar signature emotional gut punch. Stuff like with Coco. Coco has such a powerful gut punch at the end. Toy Story 3 has a powerful gut punch there at the end. Finding Nemo, Monsters Inc. Those are all movies where it very clearly has that. This movie really doesn't. And I can see that some people would be upset that it doesn't. However, the message still, I would argue, comes across. The true message of the story about that, like our activism, for instance, our connection to the world, to other people, to nature, isn't about me, but it is about being a part of something greater and bigger, of truly and positively connecting with others, which isn't always easy. But if you're willing to put in the effort, it can lead to something truly beautiful. And that's what I like about Hoppers, is that it's able to tell that message without being preachy. Never once is the message detailed like I just did right now, but it's something that you see through the actions of the characters. And it's delivered in a very funny, action-packed way that really keeps you interested as the story progresses. Now, funny thing is, when I went to go see the movie, it was just me and one other person in the theater. It was this lady, and like at one point she got probably to go to the bathroom, but she like left within 20 minutes, and I was like, wait, what? The movie's not that bad. It's just getting started. Give it some time. Hey, Victor's here. Hello. It's been since I got you live. Well, Victor, it has been a while. I'm glad that you managed to make it. Dragon says, yeah, obviously no one, for a Kindred Spirit in Hollywood not pick it up. So Hopper seems like an actual good story that is somewhat disappointing that some people will not give it flowers because of Pixar. Yeah. So here's the thing is that so I said earlier that I've got a theory about why people are not enamored with Hoppers, and it's not so much because of the story. Like if you're actually there to watch the story and be involved in the story, it's a good movie. It's not amazing. I'll say that. It's not an amazing movie, but it's good. And I would say this, no one should look down on any story just because it isn't amazing. Good stories are good. In fact, most of the stories that we consume on a day-to-day basis aren't great. They're just good. And that's totally fine. Good is good. Good is filling. Good is ennobling. Good is educational. Good is entertaining. A good story is a good story. You don't need to look down on it. Um, but because Pixar has had big missteps in the past, say, I think that The Good Dinosaur does not get enough due credit. I actually like The Good Dinosaur. Almost everyone else hates it. Also, Onward. Almost everyone hated Onward. I enjoyed Onward. Onward wasn't a great movie, but it was still a lot of fun, in my opinion. But because movies like Onward, The Good Dinosaur, all of the drama before Inside Out 2 was released, the fact that Soul landed face first, and let's see here, Elio was just like dragged, was dragged through the glass because of stuff like, and then also the fact that they just keep doing more Toy Story. We do not need more Toy Story. We do not. We do not. So because we keep getting more Toy Story, and because Pixar's had now a fair number of duds, and because Disney is bleeding Pixar dry, milking it for all it's worth, so that way they can have more content rather than good stories. What they want is they want content. Uh, because of that, there is Pixar's lost a lot of goodwill, and so we gotten to the point now where people are more interested in seeing something like Hoppers fail, because for a lot of people it will just validate why they feel angry at Pixar. And I've seen that from way too many people, that they want Pixar to fail. They want Disney to fail because they're angry. Now, I'm plenty upset with a lot of the bad decisions that Disney has made. Disney is not the creative good company that it once was. It has gone completely corporate. It's gone completely monopolistic as much as they can, and they have lost so much of their creative spirit. And those who do have the creative spirit, they bleed dry. Think of people like Alex Hirsch, Matt Brawley, especially Dana Terrace, and that's just in their television division. So, like, Disney has not been a good company now for years. But at the same time, if a story is good, well, we should acknowledge that, and we should again celebrate and promote good storytelling. Because if we promote good storytelling, there's a better chance that that good storytelling will then continue on in various forms. Like, that's something that a lot of critics on YouTube have a hard time have a hard time living up to, even if they understand it. Like, I'm looking at you, Midnight's Edge. Midnight's Edge is always like, yeah, we should promote the good stuff. And then yeah. Then they're like, wait, what good stuff? And it's like, oh, you guys. If there's something that's good, we should promote it. We should encourage it, because that will continue to promote and encourage good stuff in the future from other creatives. If we don't do that, then the right lessons will not be learned. Tuggman says Forgotten Island trailer came out and I like it. I still have not yet seen the Forgotten Island trailer, so I can't comment on it yet. But I've seen that it's been getting. I have seen on social media that's been getting some traction. So again, yeah, if you've got like stuff like Hopper should absolutely. If you like it, then you should explain that. You should let people know that you do like it, and you should explain why. I liked Hoppers because it was funny. The action was pretty good. I liked the main girl. I enjoyed how they made fun of. I enjoyed how they made fun of Game of Thrones, because they absolutely do. And I always appreciate it when anyone decides to go out of their way to make fun of Game of Thrones. So I did enjoy that. The action again was really good. I thought that the message was well done. It was properly nuanced, without being absolutely in your face or being preached at. It had a good smacking of Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind and of Princess Mononoke, which are two movies that I definitely enjoy. So you had all of that going. So Hoppers, I feel really, it was really doing a good job. Good stuff. Was it one of Pixar's greatest? No, it wasn't. Is that a reason to hate on it? Absolutely not. And if you want Pixar to get better, then again, you gotta be willing to then support uh, their attempts at telling good original stories and moving on from just doing Toy Story 5. We're like we will see a Toy Story 7. They're going to try to get to Toy Story 7 before the voice actors for all the characters die. And you can hear their age. You can hear that the voice actors are all getting older in the most recent trailer. Which is fine. People age. Don't hate on people for getting older, but it's like, come on, just like these voice actors, the story needs to be given a rest. Come on. If you want to do like more stuff along the lines of Toy Story, you could maybe say like a Toy Story story, though that's a little redundant. But yeah. Titus was a great Pixar villain. Titus was a good villain. I kind of wish that we had gotten more of him in order to like really classify him as a villain. He was more of like a really bizarre antagonist who worked really well for heightening the stakes. But he is someone who has almost no presence in the story, and he is really only around for a small amount of time. But I will say is for what time he is on screen, oh boy, Titus steals the show. So yeah, that's Hoppers. Definitely recommend. Worth seeing in the theaters if you have the chance to go see it. Again, highly recommend it. If you want more good storytelling, you have to be willing to support good storytelling. So there we have it. Alrighty then. Let's see here. What else? Ooh. So next thing is I want to show you guys another indie project. You might have seen this already. It just came out. Now, it's not going to be part of any long-going series. It is a self-contained story, but it's a self-contained story that is really well told. It's, in my opinion, a great example of what indie storytelling can do, of its possibilities, and how you don't need to. Here's the thing. I'm here a whole lot to praise stuff like The Amazing Digital Circus and Murder Drones, but you don't have to be a Glitch Productions or Iron Circus or whatever to make something that's a good story, that's well told or well animated. If you wish to do animation, you can still do something great on a much smaller scale. And the example that I'm going to use for that is the Hartebeest. So allow me then to bring up the Hartebeest. Now, for those of you, for those of you who have seen the movie Death of a Unicorn, this is going to feel very familiar. If you have not seen Death of a Unicorn, then my explanation to this is the unicorn that you are about to see is an absolute menace in the worst way possible. Not in like this is something lovely. I like this. No, this is like oh my gosh, you are awful and you need to be exterminated as fast as possible. Kind of awful. So with that being said, let's enjoy, or I hope you guys enjoy this look into the Hartebeest. I will pause at times to point out some things that are really good little bits of storytelling that are almost kind of a blink and you miss some moments. The illustrator, not the illustrator, but the animator did a great job at utilizing visual storytelling to convey some powerful things. So here we go. All right, I'm actually already going to point out this. Unicorns. We associate unicorns with beings of beauty, life, and goodness. And a very subtle clue already at the very beginning, is that this beautiful unicorn treads on a young sprout and crushes it. I want you to remember that for going forward. And there goes the dead sheep.
I can hear the song of the heart of the east.
All right. So, again, just what works out so well. And now I'm suddenly beginning to wonder, will I get copyright struck for having this music play? I don't know. So, shall we risk it for the brisket? Any case. So here we have some interesting juxtaposition. Here, juxtaposition being two things meeting that don't necessarily go together. So again, unicorns, beautiful symbols of life and goodness. But here we have a unicorn who tread on a sprout and then goes, which is a wink and a nod at things about to come, and it then goes and murders a sheep and drags it off. And here you have this village that has this monument to unicorns. It makes you wonder, is it there to remind people of beware of the unicorn, or is it there to say, oh, unicorns are so amazing? Yeah, it's a kind of a juxtaposition. It's like, why is that here? Why would you build such a beautiful monument to something that you know is awful? Or did they build it not knowing that these unicorns are monstrous? So again, juxtaposition right here, which is going to get played on even more as the story continues.
As their hopes drum to a hunger,
Beware. Something eats the sheep.
I can sing a fear or a
And our young protagonist follows
as I drown deep in one.
All right, I'm going to pull it back just a little bit right here because I like this bit. Again, this is kind of a blink and you miss it moment, but this is something the animator put in that they didn't have to, but is good. So as this hero goes, they nearly trip and fall. Okay, why exactly that? It goes to show, as we're going to see here in just a bit, that this is an untried hero. They make mistakes. They're a little bit weak on their feet. This is not the grand hero who's ready to slay monsters and save the village. This is a young person who is going out on a journey and they could very easily biff it. That is the visual cue that we are being given. And just like with the sprout, pay attention to how that plays out.
Where do we go when the river's running slow? Where do we run when the cats kill one by one?
So the human and the dragon now have something in common. They've both lost to this unicorn. And so again, juxtaposition. A human and a dragon working together against a unicorn. It's not something that you would normally expect within a fantasy story, but here we are. Again, this is just something that just immediately tickles my fancy. Not just because I'm a huge fan of dragons, but it's like, yeah, when would you ever think that you would see something like this in a fantasy story? It's inventive, it's new, or at least it feels new. And so remember how I said earlier that we were already kind of given a visual cue that the human is untested, is not necessarily the hero that one would expect. So here we have the human trying out their sword against this tree, prepping themselves for fighting the unicorn, and they're sloppy. And so the dragon, I don't know how the dragon knows proper sword form. ISO, maybe you can explain to us if you're still watching how a dragon would understand proper stances. But yeah, dragon is teaching the human how to fight. And so it just it helps to show character development in this short.
Kill one by one.
Another dragon. Getting a blessing from the other dragon. Also, sorry, I know I'm pausing right in the middle of the action. I really like how you have these two animals circling each other. If you were to ever see a proper fight from horseback of cavalry creatures against each other, or even of other large animals going against each other, we normally think of them charging and ramming. You only do that if you have the ability of protecting your head. Otherwise, creatures circle each other before they charge. It's a little detail, but it's a detail that just makes this feel, that heightens the tension by bringing a semblance of reality to what we're watching. John Wells comes in. Hollywood lacks spine. Yes, they do. Yes, they do. And whoop, there's the sprouts. And a dragon walks past it and doesn't crush it. In that juxtaposition, what you don't like, two things that coming together you wouldn't expect. And life now goes on and is allowed to flourish because the monster, being the unicorn, is now been vanquished. So for those of you who want to watch this without my commentary, enjoy the whole thing all in one go, and support the incredible YouTuber who put this together, Hearts of Beast can be found at the YouTube channel Nocturnal Nova. So if you want to give Nocturnal Nova your support, comment on this awesome little video, go ahead, do it there. But I wanted to show this because I feel like, again, this is a great example of what you can do with an indie project. And this is something that sometimes we might have to think a little bit about in terms of our own stuff. Like, I have such big ideas for my stories. There are stories I have wanted to turn into video games, stories I want to turn into movies, into shows, and these are things that are not even in book form that I want to do. And then there's the books that I have written. I'm like, it'd be really cool if it was turned into a show or a movie. Wouldn't that be amazing? And it's fun to daydream about, but you have to consider what you actually have the skill and the time and resources to do. Like something like the Beast, what you see right there could easily be a full-length feature film, either animated or live action. But it isn't, because Nocturnal Nova, with 2.3 thousand subscribers, is not going to be able to make a full-length movie. It's just not going to happen. But that doesn't mean that Nocturnal Nova can't, and in this case they absolutely did deliver on making a short that packs a punch and tells its own complete story. So sometimes for us, we have to consider, what can I actually do? What is reasonable? What's within my grasp of possibility? There are projects that I've really wanted to do that I realize I can't actually make it happen the way I envisioned. But I love this story. So what can I do to do my best by this story if I make it? And make it in such a way that it has still that feeling of its original concept, but adapts itself to what I am capable of delivering. A 4-minute plus story like Beast, in my opinion, is just as good as a well-funded, well-animated, well-delivered episode of The Amazing Digital Circus. Why is that, despite the fact that they're two radically different stories? Because I can tell that both are made with heart, they're both entertaining, and they both tell a complete story. And that's why both of them are good, despite their vast differences. And that is something that we as independent creators need to we as independent creators need to internalize, that we need to understand that we need to do the best by our own stories that we possibly can, and it is okay if you can't make it a big production. But if you can give it everything that you can and make it the best that you can, it will be good. And it will find its audience. That is an important lesson that we need to understand, that we need to take to heart. ISO said, yes, ISO's got the commentary on the sword form. I mean, it's a dragon. How many knights has it fought? Knights know how to use swords, so the dragon may have learned by watching. I like that. ISO, that's a great explanation. Dragon fights knights. Dragon learns by fighting opponents. Knows what works and what doesn't work. Here, squat down. Get your center. Get your center of gravity. Bend your knees. Don't be a plank. You're gonna get pushed over by this deadly unicorn. Also, it actually helps because since he crouches, or they, I don't know if it's he or she or they, crouch behind the corpse of the dragon, the unicorn doesn't realize until it's too late. Sword goes into the neck. TV Cat says, I think that's an interesting video essay about The Bride and how Hollywood would make films based on the current landscape. Sorry, this sounded like word salad. Also, if you heard of The Bride, you would probably understand what this video is about. I have heard of The Bride. I've not yet watched The Bride. And I also know that it's got raked through the coals by critics, but that's something to look into. John Wells says, I'm not going to pretend I only like original stories and that a reboot or a sequel is inherently bad. Excellent point. Some reboots, some sequels, some prequels are not bad. People are way too harsh on the Star Wars prequels. First movie was fun. Second movie, and Battle of the second movie was good. Third movie, operatic. So good. Revenge of the Sith is a good movie. Sometimes the dialogue is bad, but man, it's a good movie still. But the issue, as John says, is when they make one today, they have no juice. They just take the story and make it quote unquote pleasing. They just take it and make it modern, or they will make it to be included in the cool kids crowd of Hollywood. And that is a huge problem with Hollywood. Hollywood is far more focused internally on its totem pole of coolness and popularity. because the closer you get up to the top, the more power you have. The more power you have, the more that you can then project yourself onto whatever project you want to do. You can choose whatever project you want, and then you then get more money, you get more accolades. It's all about the popularity and the power rather than telling good stories. Now, Hollywood has always been about popularity, even going back to the 1920s, but it's become way more spiteful, way more parasitic in recent times, and way more endemic than it has been almost any other time in Hollywood's storied and oftentimes muddied and dark history. There's a huge problem within Hollywood, and John Wellesley absolutely nailed it. And Royal Pink Shimmer's back. Hi! Great to have you back, Royal Pink. And TV Count says, also, this made me realize that maybe reactive storytelling isn't possible anymore. Too much in the world, I doubt the industry can keep up. Well, here is something, now then, TV Account, here is something to consider in terms of reactive storytelling. Reactive storytelling in and of itself isn't a bad thing. One of the stories that a lot of people point to as kind of a masterpiece and as a big bit of commentary on modern society, even though it's actually pretty old by now, is 1984. 1984 is a reactionary piece of fiction. It's reactionary to the betrayal of the Soviet Union against the communists in Spain. This is really where it comes from. George Orwell felt absolutely betrayed by the Communist Party, which he should have, because the Communist Party absolutely betrayed so many people in the Spanish Civil War. It was really, really bad. And 1984 is commentary on what the Soviet Union was becoming and what it was doing, as well as the world that it was beginning to inspire, not just there, but how other countries began to evolve and react to the presence of such a malevolent force. And George Orwell really took no prisoners with 1984. In fact, he gets really preachy halfway through the book, but that's another matter right there. But 1984 is a reactionary story, but it is told well. And that's something that's important when it comes to anything that's reactionary. Like any sort of bad thing or good thing that you want to have your story react to is absolutely fine, but you need to tell a good story. One of the problems is that too often with reactionary storytelling, people are more interested in getting their reaction and their immediate feelings out onto the page or onto the screen, rather than, again, telling a good story. If you tell a good story, it can stand on its own no matter how times change, and people who wish to understand more will learn and understand more of the story. So that's something to bear in mind. It always comes down to telling a good story. If you can tell a good story, the story will speak for itself. Royal Pink says I have to leave a little bit because spoilers of the movie. Well, I mean, we've already talked about Hoppers. And I actually kept it relatively spoiler free, because anyone who wants to go see Hoppers, I want you to be able to experience it, especially a lot of the death. Because wow, that was wild. That reminded me a whole lot of The Incredibles. I says, I have no idea where I found it, but there was the satire story I read once where Disney became the world government and ran the world like they ran their industry. Oh, that's so bad, but that feels so on brand and so on point for Disney. Yikes. And I mean, we here at Camille's Harem, we try to avoid real world politics. I'm far more interested in knowing which high prince you support. But Bob Iger wanted to become president of the United States of America. If Bob Iger ran the United States of America the same way that he ran Disney, our country would be in a lot of trouble. Just gonna say. because squeezing people dry for all that they're worth, taking advantage of others, creating monopoly, all of that stuff is it's not good. And that's a big problem with Disney, is that Disney, rather than being a storytelling company anymore, it really has tried to go full corporate and do it for the money and even the brownie points. Like Disney at one point was so adamant that they could figure out the way of transforming brownie points into actual brownies, but they never did. And that's one of the reasons then why they shut down something like the Owl House, because they're all like, it's not it's not making us brownies the way that we thought it would. It's like, guys, the only reason why the Owl House is not making you the brownies that you thought it would is because you're not merchandising the show. If you created merchandise for the Owl House and actually gave love to the Owl House, it would have done phenomenally. But no, you decide not to do that. And I'm so happy that Knights of Guinevere is going to have the chance to prove Disney wrong. Oh, yeah, I'm looking forward to that. So, yeah. So, good. So, thank you guys for your comments there after the Hot Beast. And again, I hope that you go check out Nocturnal Nova, give them a view, give them a like, share Hot Beast, and also share Kindred Spirits with more people. Let people know that there's still great storytelling that is being done, both big and small, on the indie scene, and that we shouldn't give up on good storytelling. Because again, it exists. It's still out there. We need to promote it where we find it. And as I've said in the past, I really do feel like indie productions, maybe they're not like, I don't think that indie is the future for storytelling or for Hollywood, but it is a path forward for telling great stories, for preserving art forms, and just potentially doing a whole lot of good. So I more and more I see us really transitioning over to that world, to that environment where indie really just paves the way forward. So with that then being said, let's have a look at how Tales of Zale is doing. Let me share my screen here for a bit. We're going to do the entire screen. And we're going to do the Eternal Swirl. All right. So here we are at Tales of Zale with just 3 days left to go. Oh boy. I really, really hope that they can do it. So for one thing, this counter right here of $107,000 plus, which is phenomenal for a Kickstarter of the size. They actually still have if we go on down here, they still have a little ways to go to get to the bonus scene, which is when they reach 100,000 euros. Now, I've done the conversion, and in order to get to 100,000 euros to get to the bonus scene stretch goal, that number is going to have to expand by another $8,000 up to $115,000 in order to get the bonus scene. So if that happens, not only then do we get an extended episode, and not only are we going to get the dubs for the episode, which the dubs, I think, I need to have a look at what it is right now but it's right now kind of a toss-up between Japanese, German, and Spanish for the dubs, which I think is just so cool, knowing that there's a strong Spanish, German, and Japanese support behind this series and getting it going. But while I doubt that we're going to get to episode 2 being fully funded, because Savory Sif is working with another company, them being able to see that an entire full episode, an extended episode plus bonus scene, potentially is fully funded, that lets industry insiders, people with real money and connections, know there is desire for this to be real. I mean, this is a small project, and yet it could make that much money. There's support there. There's an audience there. This is worth the investment. And again, this is where I feel like where indie storytelling is really going to end up being eventually, is that indie storytelling brings in a certain amount of the audience and then proves to the big backers that the story is worth telling, and then gets his full funding from there to be then what the creator wants it to be. And because the way is being paid forward now, more than ever, thanks to especially Glitch Productions, making sure that creators get more control and even full say over how a show is made and done. I believe that it's very possible that's going to be the future, where creators really do have far more control, where they bring in a certain amount of audience and funding in order to let big backers know that it's worth the investment. And then the big industry keeps itself alive by funding and feeding off of well told, creator driven, independent stories. So, again, for those who have not seen this yet, highly recommend checking it out. Tales of Zale is an animated indie series with a bit of history behind it. Most people first became familiar with our titular fox back in 2015 when the project released its first online episode. Back then, it was a passion project made by a single person. Since then, the creator, Sif, has gained years of industry experience working on projects for Disney, Cartoon Saloon, doing Kindred Spirits, and many smaller European productions. She began pitching Tales of Zale as a TV series. Blah, blah, blah. Slow down a bit, Lars. At various forums in 2019, and soon gained the support of the Oscar-nominated Danish studio Norlum, or Nurlum, however it's supposed to be pronounced. When I say Norlum, with their help, the project could be taken to a whole new level of development, while still staying agile and true to its indie roots. While Tales of Zale remains an indie project with a personal artistic vision, it simultaneously has the industry support to be taken further, should the right conditions arise. First and foremost, we want to keep the project close to the online audience that has followed and encouraged the project over all these years. And for that reason, we're launching this pilot Kickstarter. Whether you're a longtime viewer or just found out about the project, we're looking forward to showing the fruits of our labor with a U, which is how you can tell that this is European and not American. So there we have. So why the Kickstarter? To tell about how you need the funding to do good animation, to get the industry backing and industry connections to really bring it forward and make it the best they can be. Now then, again, I love that this is here. And I'll actually kind of show a comparison. So you got the budget split. I love that this is here to show you that, hey, 50% of all the money raised is going to go to production costs. 10% go to campaign fees because Kickstarter takes their cut. 15% will be geared towards putting in the campaign rewards and because taxes. So one of the things that we can already know is that this particular episode is going to be made on the absolute tightest of budgets, with basically, once it's all done, just over $50,000 towards making the show an extended episode. So you're looking at about 15 minutes. Again, to give you guys kind of a point of comparison, The Amazing Digital Circus is made for at least $300,000 per episode, at least according to industry standards. Lackadaisy, each episode will be made at about $1 million per episode. So the quality, the budget, the effort is all in there. Tales of Zale, telling an almost comparable length story telling a story within almost a comparative length episode, so about 15 minutes, will be done on a budget of $50,000, at least from the indie side, and then probably some funding coming over from Norlum, who will probably take up the slack a little bit and probably add on another $50,000 to $100,000 just to round things out and be like, okay, yeah, we know this is indie, but we're going to add our weight to it to kind of give you, Sif, the support that you need to make this happen. You brought the goods. You showed that this could be real, that there was interest in it. Awesome. We'll now give you the boost. That's what we see going on here. This particular split, I feel that for anyone who does a Kickstarter, should be honest and let people know where the money's all going, because that honesty earns trust and support. When people know where their money is going, people are more inclined to give their support, their time, and their money to something that they understand is going to work a certain way. And then that way they also can hold you accountable for that. And if you don't deliver, well, that's on you. And you know where you donked up. And people, again, if you do what you say you're going to do, people can see that that's the process. They can trust it. We need that kind of trust between indie and just general supporters, because people have been burned so much by corporations like Disney. People want to know that their money is worth the investment, or that a project is worth their money, their investments. That's a fair way of putting it. So, uh, so there you have it. There, I will do again a little bit of a side comparison here in just a moment, but yeah. So Tales of Zale fully funded, so close to getting to that bonus scene, which will basically fully round it out to like a 16-minute episode, I believe, and that would be absolutely amazing for such a small project. That's taking what the Hata Beast did in 4 minutes and just really expounding on that. It's a real triumph for an indie project. I'll take a quick drink of water. Good water. So I have no idea where I found it, but there. Oh yeah, there's the satire story. TV account. Para, a normal girl, tried to get their series up on Indiegogo but failed. Could there be an indicator between Indiegogo and Kickstarter? So, well, depending. So there's Kickstarter, there's the backer kit, there's Indiegogo. There are stipulations. There are all different kinds of things that go into making anything happen, either on Indiegogo or on Kickstarter or on Patreon or on backer kits. Will this be something I analyze? Yes, actually, I think that would be really good to do some research on, especially because, like, I've been thinking about this more and more recently for a story that I'm leaning more towards that I do want to tell, but like I've been kind of sitting on the fence on it for a little while because it's a story that would take me out of my comfort zone if I told it. I'll be honest. But it's a story that I think I could tell well. And if I do decide to tell it, it has to be told in a certain way. Otherwise it'll be silly. It will fall short. It will not. It needs to be told in a certain way in order to let the reader in order to convey to the reader. As weird and as funny as the story is, it is also serious. You need to have that balance of serious and funny in order for it to transcend your initial reaction to it. That's all I'm going to say without really committing myself to this particular story just yet. But let me just say that just on its face value, most of you probably wouldn't read it. Just going to be honest. But if I could tell it in such a way where the funny and the silly and the weird is perfectly balanced with the seriousness that I intend to convey, that it would be balanced, and you'd be like, okay, Lars cooked. Lars has got something to say here. But here's the thing. It wouldn't just be a simple book. It would be a book that needs to have its artwork. It has a book that would have to be very similar to something like the Stormlight Archive, with the artwork that it has, with excerpts of like ancient texts, and have like all of like these visual cues and clues to let you, the reader, realize there is so much more going on to the story. I need to pay attention to the text and not just take it at surface value. Because underneath the silliness, there's something very serious going on. And so as I've thought about it, how that would work, I cannot publish that book through Amazon. because Amazon restricts your creativity in publishing. So that would mean I would need to work with an actual publishing house, or like either a publishing house picks it up and I get to work in tandem with them, or as an independent author, I publish through them. There's different ways of going about it. But in order to convey the story the way I would want to, I would need the money in order to hire the artists who would help me to make the story the visual masterpiece it needs to be in order to convey the story as it must be told. That is not cheap. As someone who has already invested across all of his books, let's see here. Across all the books I've published, I believe I've invested around $5,000 in everything that I've written. That's a fair amount of money. And without a high paying job right now, that's the kind of money that I do not get easily. So a Kickstarter or an Indiegogo or something like that would be really good for me then getting the resources I need to make that story happen. So for my own purposes, going into Indiegogo or Kickstarter or BackerKit would be really smart to see which one is best. So TV account, yeah, I think that not just for myself, but for other people, it would be good to do the research, find out what works well, and yeah, I'd be willing to make a video about that in the future. I still need to make sure that I deliver for ISO the writing lesson video about when to end scenes, how to end scenes. I've been working on the script for that, and I actually came across, or my sister sent to me a TikTok, which gave me some really good inspiration for it, utilizing Pirates of the Caribbean. So something to look forward to, hopefully in the near future, of how to end scenes, where to end scenes, and then utilizing Pirates of the Caribbean, the first movie, Curse of the Black Pearl, as an example, because Curse of the Black Pearl is phenomenal at utilizing every single scene. Every single scene does what it's supposed to do and does not overstay its welcome. It is just chef's kiss masterpiece in terms of what I like to call the economy of words, utilizing the fewest words possible to get the most for your buck and doing it just right, which is what allows them to pack so much into a movie that's already kind of a little bit long, but it doesn't feel long at all. So yay. Stuff to work on. But so let's let me say here, next thing to bring up, because I do want to have this kind of side by side comparison. So let's see here. Why on earth is this? Oh, the Gravity Falls director. Okay, yeah, because Matt Brawley was a director for on Gravity Falls, but I'd say that Matt Brawley should be better known for his work with Amphibia. Amphibia was absolutely amazing. Now, so we will never get a connected cartoon universe between Amphibia, The Owl House, and Gravity Falls because Disney is dumb. Disney did not learn. Disney screwed over all of their creators. Who did Dana Terrace? Alex Hirsch doesn't want to return unless he absolutely has to for Gravity Falls. And Matt Brawley got absolutely screwed over as well. So, and they not only didn't let him have his cartoon crossover, but they also would not accept his proposal for a movie. So Matt Brawley is going on to then make his own, is going on to convert his movie idea into a show. And that is Clara and, excuse me, Clara and the Below. So again, let me, hold on here. We're going to share the screen. Make sure that I get this right. So we come back to the Eternal Swirl, and we're going to hop on over here to Clara and the Below. So Matt Brawley is basically doing a retelling of the Nutcracker, and he's already fully funded. Ooh, good for him. I've also backed this project because I love Matt Brawley, and I would love to see what he can do with Disney not chaining him back. So to save her bedridden ex-military father, Clara must fight the spirits of the soldiers he killed on the battlefield in a surreal world under her house, known simply as the Below. She is aided by a mischievous toy nutcracker who represents her innocence and childhood, her only guide in a place where the ghosts of the past run rampant. Clara and the Below. Let's get Matt's own important take right here. Process. Yeah. Brawley, which we haven't seen yet. Basically,
welcome, friends, to the Kickstarter campaign for Clara and the Below. Where's Clara? My name's Matt Brawley, and I've worked on.
Okay, fun fact: Matt and I believe I'm older than Matt, or he and I are the exact same age. Any case, he's a young guy. He's already going gray. Why is that? Because Disney sucked the life out of him. Me, on the other hand, I may be going a little bit bald, but you gotta believe it, I still have my luscious blonde locks. Anyways, I just pointed that out because yes, Disney absolutely sucks the life and soul out of people. Poor Matt. He's going gray before his time.
Animated sluggernauts such as Gravity Falls, Steven Universe, and even created my own show, Amphibia. Good times. Clara and the Below is a new animated series that is completely independent and artist-owned. The story follows Clara, a young girl from the 1800s who is desperate to save her ex-military father from the mysterious illness that's eating him alive. To do so, she makes a deal with the dark wizard Drosselmeyer, who shows her how to enter a mysterious place under her house called the Below. The Below is a frightening place, full of angry ghosts, but powerful soul energy that is the one thing that can save her precious paw. These aren't ordinary ghoulies either. Each one is the spirit of a man her father killed on the battlefield. Each night, she goes deeper and deeper, losing herself in a world of frozen terror in order to bring back more cure. At the same time, she is coming to finally understand the kind of man her father really was. Juicy themes, layers, redemption, darkness, inherited sins. That's right, friends. This is a very uncommercial story. The first episode should run about 6 to 8 minutes and will be told visually with not much dialogue at all. This way, no matter what language you speak, you should be able to enjoy this somber tale. If this first episode is a success, we have 3 more stories to tell within this same world that features the same characters, but different subject matter and points of view. At the end, we aim to put them all together into 24 minutes of kick-ass animated gothic goodness. So take my hand, and together we can show the world a twisted vision of ghoulish delights, clashing swords, and create a new kind of animated story.
So if you know his past experience with Disney, and again how Disney used him, his presentation and why he's all uncommercial and his weeks and everything makes a whole lot more sense. He's got an axe to grind with Disney, the same as Dana Terrace, as though opposed to Dana Terrace, he's not actually making a show about the evils of Disney. There you have it. If you're interested in supporting Clara and the Below, there it is. Again, I highly enjoy the work that Matt Brawley has done with Amphibia. Fantastic show, so well made. And it's just a shame that Disney did not continue to take him up on all the things that he could possibly do and deliver for them, because he is a great storyteller and he knows how to harness the power of a good dark story. However, now here's the thing. So as cool and as everything is here, you'll find as I'm scrolling along that as opposed to Tales of Zale, which is like, hey, so here's where like the money is going and everything. Alex Hirsch is the voice of Chompers because of course Alex Hirsch has to be. So here we come to like the rewards and all of that. The thing is that you don't get that breakdown of the budget. Now, the reason why I point that out, the reason why I point out that it's like, oh, they don't have a breakdown for the budget right here is because again that openness of, hey, so this is what we're doing, like this is how we're going to do it, this is why we need your support. That again, that openness really helps to let people know like why you need that independent support, why you need the crowd support. Where is that money going? Now, because Matt Brawley is someone who has already proven himself, at least in my eyes, to be a very dependable storyteller who has stuck his neck out for other people in the past and has done some great stuff, like I'm more than willing to support his work. But if you don't know Matt Brawley and his work, as cool as this looks, do you really feel, without an honest breakdown of where your cash could go, do you really feel like dumping your money here when there might be other projects that could be way more reliable or creators who are more reliable? I mean, you only got to look as far as you only have to look as far as let's get rid of that eternal swirl there. You only have to look as far as a story or a history of something such as, like, what is it? Tales of Scorpius? No. Oh, what is it? I will admit I'm not as well versed with this most recent debacle, but there was this Kickstarter for a book, and everyone got behind it, and then like the book was poorly written, it was poorly edited. Like the shipping apparently was also kind of a little bit wonky. People felt cheated out of the money that they put into this project because they're like, wow, like this person promised a whole lot, but then didn't really actually deliver. The audio is being funny while the video is playing. Oh man, I didn't hear that. Dang it. Sorry, ISO. Sorry about that. But yeah, so people have been cheated out of their money before in Kickstarters. And so it's something where like again, that honesty, that openness, I feel really helps out with letting people know what they're getting themselves into. So if you are going to ever do a Kickstarter for your own indie projects, please let people know. Be open, be honest, share that budget. By showing that you already are thinking in terms of a budget, you are letting people know how serious you are. And that honesty wins people over. Amaya says, are you 30? Everyone's 30. That's the truth. I'm 36. 36. Counted them myself. When I'm 37, I can finally use the quote from Monty Python, Search for the Holy Grail. 37. I'm not old. Also, have you seen El Guapo versus the Narco Vampires? It's effing crazy. I have not. Thank you for the recommendation. El Guapo versus the Narco Vampires. That sounds absolutely amazing. Oh my gosh. I can't believe this thing is real. That is amazing. Thank you so much that this thing actually exists. I'm going to have to check this out. Holy cow. Okay, then. Well, yeah, in any case, from there. So let's see here. Man, we've mostly then hit all the stuff here on my list. I told I'm Omega. I finally caught up with No Evil. We've talked about Clara and the Below, Tales of Zale, Harry Potter, Hoppers, indie projects. So yeah. So any videos on No Evil soon, or is it too soon? Maybe a little bit too soon just right now because I do have other things that are on the docket. But now that I've completely caught up with No Evil, I do want to make a video about it. At least one. So that'll be something that I need to make sure that I start figuring out how I best want to approach that. Start writing up scripts for it, and then getting the right footage from the show because there's a lot of show. But what I will immediately say, I will make it to it, is that it is a great example of a creator's passion to tell the story that they want to tell. That is incredibly admirable, and it's just that's amazing. And also, I will say this for No Evil is that uh, it evolved beyond what I thought it would be. When you first get to Hollow, I was like, oh, I was like, where are we going with this? Things started getting like, I will admit, the middle felt a little convoluted, but by the end, I'm like, this is getting sweeping. This is big. The lore implications are huge, and that weird dude in Salem, I gotta go back and get what his name is. That guy's dangerous. That guy is flippin' dangerous. Also, I want Quetzalcoatl to get returned to normal. I miss my shy, anxious snake boy. Holy cow! Also, I was worried at first that Black Bart would be let off easy. I am happy that Black Bart continues to suffer. That makes me very happy, but not like eternal punishment, torture, but like kind of suffering. But you get your just desserts. You are now forced to use the powers that you thought were going to make you awesome and get revenge on everyone. You're now forced to use those powers to help everyone. That is a fantastic way to give a villain their just desserts. Yes, guess what? Yay, you get your powers. You don't get to use your powers for what you thought you would. Ha ha. It's very much kind of like Jafar at the end of Aladdin. Jafar, you wish to be a genie? You got it. Everything that goes with it. And as Jafar gets sucked down into the lamp, phenomenal cosmic powers, itty bitty living space. And you can't use your powers unless someone wishes for it. So it's just like, yes, you may have phenomenal cosmic powers, but you're a slave, and you can't use them for your own devices. Which, yes, the second Aladdin movie really bends that logic a whole lot, which is one of the reasons why Aladdin Return of the Jafar is not that great of a movie, because it goes against its own lore. But first movie, the ending, fantastic. Third movie, better than the second. But in any case, yeah, no Evil. That, man, there's a lot going on in No Evil, and I definitely need to rewatch my way through it to try to pick up on some stuff again. Yeah, I'm concerned about the Salem Guys gallery. Also, can't wait to find out more about the fork and who numero cuatro is for the user. Yeah. Oh, it's insane to me that Amy Lee, or I say Betsy Lee has been doing this for, was it 13 years now? That is an insane amount of time to dedicate to an animated story. That is passion. And this is a sprawling story. This is the kind of thing that, as it's been going on, like, sure, I bet that there's a lot of things that have developed over time, that have evolved over time. But like where the story got to, like once it began to resolve, where I thought it got a little wonky in the middle, it makes the entire story feel pretty solid. And I was surprised by what kinds of answers were given all along the way and how things tied into with each other. I have to say I'm quite impressed at the character development, the world building, how she's managed to keep a hold of so many different threads and characters over time, and kudos to the voice actors to keep showing up and over all these years and continue to deliver. That's amazing. I mean, maybe the possibility is that every single episode has already been recorded and now it's just animating it, but I think that a lot of it is still just being made and written as we go. And who knows when it will end. I got the feeling that there's still many, many years left ahead for this series before it comes to a conclusion. But you want to know what? There's a better chance that No Evil will actually get a proper ending than Game of Thrones. I just listened to a video earlier today about how George R. R. Martin's like, yeah, I know, I've been working on way too much rather than actually doing what I need to do. Hey, Victor, the Lord Seeker, thank you so much for being here, and good night. Hope that you take care. Have a great day tomorrow. Oh yeah, he George R. R. Martin's like, yeah, I know, I've been working on way too many projects. I need to actually finish the Winds of Winter, but first I do need to finish up House of the Dragon Part 2, and I'm right now working on 2 more novellas for Dunk and Egg. Then when all of that's done, I'll write Winds of Winter. It's like, dude, 2 novellas, that's like 30,000 to 40,000 words. At the rate that you write, those will each probably take at least a year before you feel even somewhat satisfied to hand them on over to your editor, which means take the next 2 years for Dunk and Egg. So sayonara to those 2 years for working on Winds of Winter, then plus finishing House of the Dragon, which will probably be like another year, which means that if George actually sticks to any sort of writing regimen, that means that if George R. Martin actually keeps his word, that means it'll be 3 years before he begins working in earnest on Winds of Winter. George R. Martin's an old man. Let me pull up right here. Let's just get the guy's age. George R. R. Martin. How old are you, dude? He's 77 years old, which would then mean that if he doesn't kick the bucket, that would then mean this guy would be 80 years old when he starts working in earnest on Winds of Winter. Yeah, this is why Winds of Winter will probably never get finished, at least by him. I feel like this kind of problem is very common for writers in general. It is a problem for a lot of writers to have a lot of works in progress, the infamous whips that everyone is struggling through. But oh boy, George's problem, the reason why Winds of Winter hasn't been finished yet actually comes down more to a variety of problems coalescing together to create the big ball of suck that all of his fans have to endure. And it is that George R. R. Martin has never really finished anything that he's even begun, which is a big problem. And there are lots of writers who do struggle with actually finishing their projects. It's not just George. In order to finish any project that you as a writer undertake, you need to be able to make goals. You need to be able to set deadlines for yourself, and you need to be able to follow through on the goals that you make for yourself. We've actually already had this lesson in the past about how to set reasonable goals and how to make plans to accomplish your goals. George R. R. Martin strikes me as a guy who has never actually been able to set proper goals and make plans to reach those goals. He's very much a wing it as you go kind of a guy. That's how he comes across. So that's not good. That does not help you with being like, if you're someone who, again, you're looking at writing 2 novellas and finishing a brief history in time to then work on Winds of Winter within the next 3 years. That means that he is probably writing around 120,000 words, which here's the point of comparison. 120,000 words written. I myself, this year, by this day in March, I have already written over 100,000 words. across two different stories and for scripts for videos. So that's me, a younger guy, writing over 100,000 words, and so it can be done. I mean, it's a lot of writing. It's like, I'll be on. Like, there was once a point in time where I was like, 1,000 words, that's easy. But as I've gotten to know how other people write, I've come to realize I'm a bit of a freak, where I I tend to write more than most other people, and that's a me thing. So that's just me. Uh, George does not write as fast as I do, and that's a problem for him. So, in order to write 120,000 words, go through all of the necessary edits and everything, yeah, that could easily take 3 years. And that's his projects that he feels he needs to get out of his way before he can dedicate himself to a big project. And you want to know what? I can't necessarily begrudge him that either, because, like, for me, I've wanted to really write Whitefire and Her Dragonist, but that book has caused me all different kinds of concerns and problems over the years. Next year, I will be dedicating the majority of the year to writing the first draft for that book. And so, like, there are times where you're like, hey, look, I've got to write other things before I dedicate myself to a big project. So again, I get it right there. But George has proven himself an incredibly slow author. He has never finished a big project. He is notorious for not making good plans and following through on his goals. And so there's a lot for any fan or any writer who's paying attention to realize, yeah, George might never finish what he says he's setting out to do. You, as any writer, the moment that you begin telling people, hey, I'm going to do this thing, you need to be able, ready and willing to back up your words. And yeah, that takes a lot. So again, you have to know how to set your goals, reasonable goals, and set plans to accomplish those goals. Like I said, set a panel goal. Say, draw a 12-panel comic, scaling down the goal to make it easy to work with. Exactly. And coming back to what I was saying earlier, where work within your means as a creator. Figure out what you can reasonably do, and then go from there. Don't try to force yourself to do something that you honestly can't, but do what you can do and do the best that you can of that. Uh, so, uh, so yeah, that again, that's a lesson that I don't think that Martin has ever really understood for himself. And I get it. Like, it's easy. It's so easy to have so many projects. So many authors can attest to having all those works in progress, all those things that you wish you could write and do and make. But you have to be reasonable as you work on this. And again, you have to know how to set good goals for yourself and how to accomplish them. Get some good water there. Any case, let's see here. Anything else? Anything else to really cover? Say, I intend to soon get work on my proper review and analysis for the Amazing Digital Circus episode 8. I intend to have some good clickbait for that, a good clickbait title, which I will back up. Having a look at Kane, because I feel like a lot of the dialogue currently around what was revealed about Kane is the understanding is maybe a little bit too superficial, and I hope to remedy that with my own review and analysis. So yeah, something I need to work on. I'll also getting back to writing for Bleed, Steam and Steel. I got another 1,000 words I need to write for it tonight, and then 4,000 words tomorrow in order to semi catch up with my goal for being done with all of Lagertha's chapters by the end of the month. Oh boy, that's so much. And then after that, it's on to Zimon and Lagertha. Zimon and Lagertha to Zimon and Asuka. Woohoo! Man, so much writing. uh, immediately you can begin to tell, this is why he's not working on a big project like Whitefire this year. Good news, the Amazing Digital Circus episode 4 is no longer being flag marked for kids. Well, that's good to hear because it shouldn't be. I bet that Luke and Kevin and their people got on that really quick because again they need that reach, that monetization to keep the series going, and in order to fund all their other projects. Getting back on a No Evil Foundation game. Wait, there's a No Evil game? Interesting. Let's see here. I guess before I begin calling it night, because I can also hear and feel my voice beginning to go. And that's also in part because I finished playing through the Liar Princess and the Blind Prince last night, which was a really fun game. Definitely check it out if you get the chance. But I guess one of the last questions I should ask myself, because I was thinking like, oh yeah, get that monetization to get a good monetization to keep all their projects going. I know that I've done already a fair number of videos in the past about like the money that goes into making stuff like the Amazing Digital Circus work, and how it is that they monetarily have actually outdone Disney in the past. But like I've wondered about whether or not people would be interested in a video that takes a more critical look at why people began looking into the finances of different shows. So let me explain a little bit here before any of you think like, what does Lars really want our input for? So let's see here. If you've ever, I don't know if any of you have ever watched the channel Midnight's Edge. They might not be exactly some people's cup of tea here in our own audience. I know that I myself have kind of fallen a little bit out of love with them in recent times because their channel decided to go political, and as a result, they definitely stepped away from actually talking about good entertainment, and they really became more like drama farmers and whatnot. In any case, that little bit aside, when I first started watching their channel like about 5-6 years ago, at first their channel was more about like documenting like really cool stuff about Hollywood's past, and then providing like some insights into things that were going on currently or going on at that time in Hollywood. And then they began to evolve more into like doing actual reviews and analyses in like as stuff was coming on out. And they also began to look more at the financials behind Hollywood, how Hollywood functions financially, which is a really, really fascinating topic to get into. And they began then working with another guy who became a YouTuber, Valiant Renegade, who is an investments and tax guy for his day job, and then does YouTube on the side. He really began to cement this idea of, hey guys, look at the finances. Here's where you can find the real financial information about what's happening in Hollywood. This is why it matters. This is how it applies. This is how you can calculate real audience interaction, like real audience interactions, real audience interest through money. And that particular metric, while maybe not always the best, like again, for instance, we just looked tonight at Hartebeest. Hartebeest will never be a big money winner. It just won't be, unfortunately. But that doesn't mean that doesn't mean it's a bad story. In fact, I would argue it's as solid of a story as any one episode from the Amazing Digital Circus. But But there is something to be said about the metrics of views, the metrics of money, the metrics of investments. That tells you a whole lot about how much investment is going to the story, how much people like the story's potential for longevity, all of that. And I actually reached out to these YouTubers back in the day to have them look at murder drones. I was like, take your insights and apply to murder drones, because I was like, murder drones is doing numbers that it shouldn't, at least according to Hollywood logic. Murder drones is getting like 25, 30 million views for what it is and for its budget. Like, that is monumental. You guys should pay attention to this. And they said, oh yeah, we've heard about that. But then they never followed through about it. They never followed through on it. And then when the Amazing Digital Circus, its pilot episode hit the YouTube airwaves. I mean, if you guys remember when that happened, it took YouTube by storm. The Amazing Digital Circus. I was like, God, this is huge. And again, these YouTubers, Midnight's Edge, Valiant Renegade, and all of their people within their ballpark, like WW Pro. You guys are always complaining that Disney and Hollywood are dropping the ball, but here you have independent creators who are doing amazing, and they're pulling in numbers that you guys have said we haven't seen in years. Why then are these indie people doing so well? And what can you tell us about like their finances? Is it possible that we could learn something from their particular financing that would be helpful to other creators, that help us to better understand this show's potential and the potential for a studio like Glitch? So that was what I was encouraging. None of them ever took me up on that, which is then why I started getting involved, having a look at that, and doing the numbers to the best of my knowledge, to the best of my ability, which then has led to various videos. And while it's interesting to go that particular route, and there's definitely some merit to looking at it, I also realized that those same YouTubers really focused on the money as a means of kind of owning Disney, of saying like, hey, look, Disney sucks so much because they're not making the money that they used to, ha ha ha. And then also using the money as a means of poking fun at other creative projects. Creative projects actually might have had some real merit, but they're like, oh, look at this. Yeah, they did not put in the investment. The money just isn't there. Therefore, this thing sucks. And so like it's very easy to I think look at the money and maybe now kind of like draw the wrong conclusions. I don't know if I'm exactly getting my idea properly through there, but I think it's also still at the same time like a worthy question to ask. Like, how is any project doing in terms of its investments, of its return? Is it viable? Because if you want to make a living as a storyteller, like I know I do, not there yet, but if you want to make a living as a storyteller, you have to be able to make a living. You have to actually be able to handle and earn money. And so like there's honestly some really good lessons I think that can be learned by understanding money in entertainment and what it means for both the story and for the creator. So I guess the question is it something that I should still pursue in the future, looking at how indie production companies like Glitch have been able to succeed with their projects, or is that something that maybe is maybe like too facetious? Is it not really applicable to what people really care about in terms of indie entertainment? Like I want to know what do you guys think? Is it something that I should concern myself with moving forward, especially again still looking at the Amazing Digital Circus? Amazing Digital Circus with this most recent episode, has been doing some good gangbusters. They've already surpassed their view count for episode 7, and as Tyler Goodman just posted right here, Glitch Productions now has 19.3 million subs, and episode 8 has 61 million views. That is incredible. And there's when we break down these numbers and figure out exactly what they mean, it's very easy to see how Glitch is able to support themselves and do the Amazing Digital Circus, to support themselves and do stuff like Knights of Guinevere, Gameoverse, and the Gaslight District, and still also have enough money to drop on something like Lackadaisy, and really put all of this money and investment towards helping out so many shows come into being. So bearing that in mind, is that something that I should in other dedicated videos like continue to point out and make a big deal out of? Or is that something that's like, okay, Lars, that was fun for some conversations, but it really like maybe hold off on that. Again, what do you guys what do you guys think? Because giving me some good feedback, giving me your guys' opinions helps me to better understand what kind of stuff I should talk about in the future. And whilst I wait for any responses that I hopefully get to my plea, there's one more thing actually that I do wish to bring up, and that kind of ties into like investment and whatnot, but also like the power and ingenuity of independent creators. So let's see here. I got to pull up the email that came from where is it? Where's excuse me, where's that? There we are. The latest from Olin Rogers. Actually, I shouldn't just simply read this. I should also show you guys what's going on here, because this is pretty incredible. Let's see here. No thoughts on whether or not I should do any more finance videos. Oh man, guys, come on! I need the help here. I need the feedback. I need to know what to do. But okay. In any case, let's wrap up this thing right here with a little bit more talk in terms of the indie side of things, with Olin Rogers still trying to make his show Godspeed a thing, which is amazing, and I want the absolute best for him because I freaking love Olin Rogers, and I really enjoyed the pilot for Godspeed. So I supported his Kickstarter a ways back, and the show is still very, very much in pre-production, because Olin's all like, thanks guys for all of your support, but I don't just simply want to make one episode, I want to make a whole show. And so he's been keeping his backers apprised of what he's been working on, what he's been doing, and you can get some of his emails and learn about his current endeavors. So I want to share with you guys here before we wrap up the most recent email that he sent out to his backers, because I was like, this is cool. If this can be utilized properly in the future, this could be a massive game changer for a lot of independent creators. And I'll show you what I mean. Let me share the screen, and we're going to go to the entire screen, and After we get rid of that eternal swirl yet again, here we go. So from Olin Rogers, good Olin Rogers, Godspeeders. It's been a minute. I've been off on updating because I've held off on updating because I didn't want to come to you without something meaningful. And now we've got that. We've been building out the foundation for season 1, and tonally, it's very Treasure Planet. Big adventure, heart, scope. The kind of story that reminds you why you fell in love with animation in the first place. Now, let's rip the Band-Aid off. We are still waiting on the $7 million investment from our distribution partner. The latest word is that we should have clarity around May. I've been in this game long enough to know you don't sit still and hope. You prepare. This is coming from the guy who got his show, Final Space, greenlit by TBS and then had the plug pulled by TBS and lost almost everything as a result. So Olin Rogers knows what it's like to lose big, and he knows what it's like to be screwed over by your business partner. So that's why he wrote this. You've got to prepare. You got to prepare for the worst. So that's exactly what we've been doing here. If that money doesn't come in, if that money doesn't come in, how can I make a killer series with what I have? I've been searching for every possible way to make this faster, better, and more achievable without compromising what makes it special. Before I go any further, no AI. None, not now, not ever for this. What I am talking about is something that's been hiding in plain sight. Motion capture. There we go. We got motion capture, Olin. Now, mocap has been around for years. It's been around for years. Games, films, you name it. But it's never been truly cracked for stylized animation like this. It's too smooth. The tech used to be insanely expensive and complicated, and there's never been a clean bridge between 3D motion data and 2D animation tools like Harmony. So I'm building that bridge. I've been deep in the trenches figuring out how to translate motion from 3D space into a 2D pipeline, and in the middle of that, something incredible happened. I partnered with Rococo. They saw what I was building and came on board as a full sponsor, donating over $12,000 worth of motion capture gear, including full performance suits and spatial tracking so we can capture multiple actors interacting in real time. Here's the vision. We use motion capture to get us 80% of the way there, fast, raw, and full of real performance. Then we bring in animators to push in the final 20% of adding style, exaggeration, and soul. If we can dial in this pipeline, we can move over 50% faster than traditional animation. Yeah, bold statement, I know, but I've already tested it, and I have been testing it. There's a shot I just finished where I put on the suit, performed the animation, and transferred it onto Bowie in under 2 minutes. It took longer to light the scene than to animate it. And here's the thing, that performance, that's me. So here we got the little robot from Godspeed, and that's Olin Rogers doing a little dance right there. You can feel it. There's a human energy there that you just don't get from anything artificial. This hasn't been easy. I've had to learn entirely new tools, new workflows, new system. Every day is a push forward. At one point, the processing load literally fried one of my MacBook Pros. I had to upgrade to a full-on PC beast just to keep up. Hint, hint, Mac does not work for big animation. It doesn't. I know that Apple loves to tout itself as perfect for creatives and artists, but if you're going to do animation, you have to go PC. You can, and you also should probably go with something hefty. That's not Apple. I'm sorry to say, fans of Apple, but that's the truth. Apple has not been on the cutting edge of actual animation in years. It's just way more for style and for the brand. But this is bigger than just solving a problem for Godspeed. I'm building a pipeline that could change how independent animation gets made. Wasn't planning on doing that, but I need to make sure the amount I have raised stretched for a lot of minutes. So he managed to raise enough for like one episode, but again, he's trying to make a whole season out of just the funding for one episode. So, hence the innovation. And this is one of the things I love about independent creators, or also about creators like Alex Hirsch, who have all these restrictions placed on them by a company like Disney. Restrictions breed creativity because you start trying to find ways of telling your story without having to do the most expensive thing or the most ridiculous thing. So here's where we stand. If the funding comes through and we're ready, then this tech accelerates everything. If it doesn't, we still move forward because now we have a path. Either way, we're not stopping. On top of that, we're doing a full top to bottom refresh on backer rewards. We've been putting a ton of care into these designing, ordering, and making sure everything feels worthy of you guys. As for the final space, the final chapter, we are very close to shipping. Once that's out the door, my focus shifts 100% onto Godspeed. This was always going to be a long road. We're not following the system. We're trying to break it and build something better, something bold, something emotional, something that puts every single dollar on screen. And we're getting closer. I'll have more soon. So there you have it. Olin Rogers doing his absolute best to bring us the goods. Yeah. But Emily says, please do. I need to get an idea of how to plan for projects properly. All I have is a laptop. Yeah, so you do what you can with what you have. But if you want to aim big, you have to be able to invest. If you want to know a lot of the costs that goes into making shows like the Amazing Digital Circus happen, you have a huge front-loaded cost of making sure that all your animators have the proper equipment. That's your first big investment. From that point on, what you're paying is you're paying for your animators to be able to live as they work 8 to 10 hours a day working on your project. And I say 8 to 10 hours because even though 8 hours is probably like your recommended work time, these animators are artists. They presumably have nothing else that they're working on, and therefore they are going to work 10 hours, or accidents happen, problems happen, and so then the teams need to rally and try to fix a problem as soon as possible. So you're going to kind of work overtime. Your costs as like a production company like Glitch is making sure that your people are properly compensated for all of the effort that they go through. It's not like a construction company where you're not just paying for the effort put in, but you're also then paying for all of the construction supplies. Animation, especially digitally, is a different beast. But yeah, in any case, I'm Omega. If you want to like do something really hefty and hardy, you're going to have to get something that's even more powerful. And laptops can do a whole lot, and you can do simple animations with laptops. The more complicated you get, the more likely it is that you have to invest in something more powerful. So again, this comes around to being able to adapt to what you have. People who have just laptops can still deliver good quality content, but they will also again just be limited by what any laptop that they have is capable of doing based on its specs. So yeah, just something to bear in mind there. But I find it absolutely amazing that Olin has been exploring this idea of using motion capture to help speed up 2D animation. Rotoscope already did this back in the day for movies like the animated Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit, which could work well in some cases. In other cases, it just looks really cheesy and wrong. So rotoscope, it had its time, but and there are still some animators who use it, but motion capture into 2D animation, getting that to work, that is something else. And here's something also to consider. Olin Rogers is partnered with Glitch Productions. Now, while Glitch Productions is going to continue doing what they do with their own animators and the likes, if Olin Rogers can indeed deliver on motion capture to 2D, and if it is a cheap and viable way of doing animation, I guarantee that Glitch will say, hey, Olin, how about you share some of that stuff with us? and then reach out to a storyteller that they think has got some good potential and be like, what if we made your story come to life and we use motion capture? Also, I believe it was either Arts or ISO who a while back said, "What about like live action indie stuff, kind of like what Glitch does?" And I was like, "Man, that would be kind of difficult." But this is an example where if motion capture could actually work as a way of supplementing 2D animation, you could then bring more live action actors onto a set and have them do work, and you can then start getting very inventive and creative with motion capture, with animation, with live action. Like suddenly all different kinds of possibilities, hybrid or sticking to one specific genre, all start coming into being. If Olin Rogers succeeds here, this this could revolutionize possibilities for indie productions going forward in many different ways, either emboldening and empowering smaller productions to with a critical investment up front do a whole lot more with a lot less, and provide opportunities for bigger indie production companies like Glitch to be like, hey, you know what? Like, we love our animators. Our animators are always going to take top priority, but for certain scenes, we can now use live action to kind of add just a little bit more pizzazz and emotion that helps to complement the powers and possibilities of 2D and 3D to then totally bring out what we can do with animation. The ring race and the Bakshi films were actually very cool because of how the rotoscope is done. Yes, that's a great example. Like the ring race in the Bakshi films were incredible. They were so eerie. They were so well done. For the Urukai in rotoscope, that was a little cheesy. Just going to be honest, that was pretty cheesy. But for the ring race, it worked beautifully. So yeah, I'm very excited to see where this is going. Indie production is paving the way forward, and thinking about also like what people can present to potential audiences, the interactions you can have through things like Indiegogo, Kickstarter, BackerKit, and the likes. Indie productions are becoming larger. They're becoming at the same time personal, and they're becoming more accessible and possible. This is again why I feel very confident that indie productions will be the way forward for a lot of storytelling going forward. This decade is where those changes are happening, where things are falling into place for us to clearly move forward and do amazing things in the near future. And even right now, I know for some of us that might feel like a very long ways off. Like, believe me, I kind of put myself in that same boat. But the possibilities are there. They are open. And it's all about figuring out how we can each individually seize them, which does require some research, some investments, a lot of work on our part, but it is possible. It's very possible. I guess as the last thing to end off the night here is just a brief cautionary tale bit. Just whatever you do, just don't be like Rings of Power or like Rise of the Merlin, where it's so clear that you think that the big budget and preaching and your brownie points are going to win out at the end. Don't sacrifice what could possibly be a great story by basically trying to just beat Hollywood or just be Hollywood. It's not about being the substitute for Hollywood. It's not about trying to be Hollywood. It should always be about telling a great story. And after 2 episodes of Rise of the Merlin, I can tell you this, that they sacrificed all the potential of a good story for nothing. And now I have to subject myself to the next 5 episodes of the show and then just tear them apart. If they're bad and if they're good, then hey, I will praise it. Otherwise, I have a feeling I'm going to be tearing to the show a whole lot. Anyways, well, y'all know El Guapo is mostly bearded, but still really charming. Uh, sorry, I meant storyboarded. Okay, I know that El Guapo is mostly storyboarded, but still really charming. And I'm looking forward to watching that. I'm excited. Also, has anyone rotoscoped 3D animation or stop motion before? It's tedious, but it makes sense. Interesting. That's something to look into. That's something to look into there, I'm Omega. Man, say, oh, I love you. You guys have given me some good recommendations, some good things to look into. Lots now to do in the future. But I think that for tonight we'll have to call it there. Everyone, thank you so much for joining me tonight on this adventure that we call writing and allowing me to have the chance to pontificate a little bit, to share some other projects with you guys from other amazing creators. I hope that this is just the beginning of a lot of great stuff for everyone. So with all that being said, I will see you guys soon in the next video. And remember this, after this live stream, there are 14 more videos to go until we reach our 1,000th video. So until then, everyone, take care and juice.